Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here. Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Matt Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! Here he goes. There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nussflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Kencan. Kenny Kencan wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Res Mall make a run to be $50? You son of a bitch! Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Can Smoking Mirrors, Director 97 home. That is why here comes Jason Meyer, the other auto custodian. Billy Friedrich, Jones one, all coming down to the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
From the Corporal Peter Low Shack, legendary sports handicap a more dapper than a Dom. Father young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, when we all PSR Pub Sports Radio bizarre. Is a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this they quit the trip. But we say we be pubbing, better with the bag and you love it. We want a top 10, we above it. Let's check.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, February 14th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. It's a frustrating day of action yesterday. Joey B has been bang on with these overs in the Four Nations. I have taken a hit in these last two games. And Bailey was bang on that 14.5 was far too big of a spread for Gonzaga. They won by 11. Everything looked great. Everything looked great for me yesterday. Everything was falling into place. It was 3-1. I was about to go 4-1. And then I lost the goddamn New Mexico State and UC Davis, which I thought I was going to be sitting there 5-1. And then the UC Irvine was a debacle, and Gonzaga didn't come through. Disappointing. I got live in on UC Davis plus 6.5, but it's very, very, very disappointing. And the importance of today has become paramount. Justin McKelvey on Brown plus 5. I love to see that. That Stacks play today, number 1. I'm right with him. Nice to be riding with Stacks. That is nice. I got 4.5 though. Nice job getting the 5. I'd even pay a nickel. I'd pay 5 cents for that. Harvard plus 6.5. Justin McKelvey's other spot on the board. BFV in the house. Lil Domo. 33 days from now will be in San Antonio doing it up right at Pubapalooza. Lil Domo, Chill Will gonna be rolling with us down there. Slow Jams, Arsenal. Yes, U.S. team total over 3.5. God, that looked like everything that I thought it was going to be until 2 minutes left in the second period. There's 2 goals scored. I mean, the Finns were lucky to score theirs. It was basically, but then, God, you give the Americans a tiny little bit of momentum, and God, look out. Jermaine in the house. Kripke says UCLA has a horrible East Coast travel record. I'm interested in UCLA today. Now, that is Daby Cab's best bet. We're going to have both Conor Mac and Morgan Spooner for all the games. Daby Cab going to come in with his best bet. Newquarker says, good morning, fellas. Small schedule day with the Buckets, but it is opening day for Division I NCAA basketball. First game at noon, number 15 ranked Clemson versus number 17 ranked Oklahoma State. Kong's Clips in the house. Smash play today. Jose Delgado and Ismail Bonfim. That's minus 126 together. That is a must copy and paste here. I had to restart my computer, so let me get my notes up here so I can copy and paste Stacks and Kong's smash play of the day. Kripke in the house, ready to get to work. Kelly McKinnis. I thought you were going to nail it, Kelly. I thought you had it. A new query. Yes, I believe I'm turning the corner. I believe I'm turning the corner here. Jesus, what a mess here. My computer's just fucking messed, man. I haven't even thrown it in the air yet. But we got our notes. Oh, no, that's yesterday's notes. Let's get today's notes. Here we go. Friday, February 14th. All right. What the hell? Okay, let's keep that one. Okay, here we go. We are in business. So let's get the action copied and pasted from Justin McKelvey. That's Brown plus 5, Harvard plus 6.5. Get that here right under NCAA basketball. We're going to get to deep dive in all these 16 college basketball games. I've moved on 4 of them. As I said, I have joined Justin on Brown. So that's good. Let's get Kong's Clips action in. Kong smash play 19-5. What a monster Mr. Kong's Clips is. Let's get that copied and pasted here. All right, we need a day today. We need a day. Bet the Sky, NCAA and T. Elon under 44.5. Easy cash. Incredible work from Bet the Sky. Ross Pitts, UT Arlington gave me an ulcer. In the end, I wish I was on it, obviously. But happens. We have Nutflush Allen says that one damn goal cost me a huge score. They were lucky to score that goal. They were lucky to get that goal. Money moves. Plays of the day. Cornell, Northern Kentucky, and UCLA. 3-team money line parlay. That's at plus 222 for money moves picks. Joining us. Thank you for joining us. Bet the Sky is on the over 157 in minus 105 in the Quinny game. We'll talk about the Quinnipiac Bobcat spot here shortly. The Sweaty Butcher in the house. Saturated. Let's do exactly that. Let's cap our way out of it. Let's do exactly that today. I like this card. I think there's a lot of opportunities for us. We are going to get started here. with the Four Nations. So let me just get this up here. There we go. And let's get the Four Nations rolling. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As I said, we have Conor Mac picks, Morgan Spooner. They'll be joining us for all 16 college basketball games. So we're going to get in depth in all of them. Daby Cab coming in with the best bet UCLA. Daby Cab going 2-0 yesterday with his action. Kelly McInnes looking at Maris Siena over 130.5. Let's get that copied and pasted. But let's discuss Saturday's action here in the Four Nations. It's not been a nice tournament for me thus far. But it is far, far from over. I've made one bet, but there is a plan that I have, which is something I don't usually have. What the pitch I'm going to give to you, and if it sounds good enough to me, I'm going to go ahead and bet it. It's just not my sort of thing. That's why I haven't bet it yet. But let's get into it now. Let's get into our first big game, and that is Finland-Sweden, Jose. Finland-Sweden's at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if we can thank you. The big USA-Canada game, 8 p.m. Eastern. Finland-Sweden coming up at the Bell Center. And, you could look at what happened to Finland and say, oh, they're not nearly as good as Sweden. Look at what Sweden did against Canada. I think the biggest difference with Canada and America is in between the pipes. That's the biggest difference. We'll go over more about the nuances of what we expect on Saturday night at the Bell Center in Montreal. But here, this wasn't Finland. Look, we know their defense is not very strong. Mikola Lindell, Mata. If Mata doesn't smash Matthews into the ice with 2 seconds left in the second period, it's a completely different game. Of course, the Americans scored right off the hop on the power play to start the third period, scored again 12 seconds later with Gensel. But Mata's just not that good of a defenseman. Joki Harju in the second defensive pair, they're not that good. And so we know that Sweden has phenomenal defense. Now, we didn't get the Nylander penalty 45 seconds in Canada, Sweden, and then all of a sudden McDavid, Crosby, and McKinnon come out on the ice. Well, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble unless you have a goaltender like Hellebuck and a defense, like Sweden or like America. Hedman, Brodin, Carlson, Ekholm, Forsling, Dahlin. That's the difference. So, obviously when I watched the American onslaught, I thought, wow, should I move on Sweden -1? And I don't think so. Now, obviously, you're testing a team's character when they lose that badly. The country's embarrassed. Is there going to be a bounce back? I think there's going to be a bounce back of some kind. This line was moving briskly last night after the hockey game. Over at the site we used to play poker at, there was a 34-cent move towards Sweden. Now there's been 12 cents of buyback. I think it's a little much. They're obviously, we watched the Americans with one of the greatest teams that's ever stepped on any ice rink in the history of hockey, dominate Finland. This move here on this offshore was a 20-cent move. It's got up to -200, now -193. Judging the defense, I can completely understand why anybody, Marty Riggs in the house, great to see you. Anybody would be backing the Swedes here, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. There's the history, the hatred between these two squads. I would like to be on the under 5.5, but I question whether Finland's defense is good enough. And now we've seen a move to the over. So now the appeal of the under 5.5 has heightened. It's now a -120. It was a -135 at 365, and that's just not worth it. That's just the risk reward there at -135 is not worth it. But we've seen 2 overs thus far. It's also a matinee game, and sometimes I get concerned: is there going to be some sloppy defensive play at 1 p.m. Now? If it's two countries that hate each other on the ice, you can expect accountability. Now we have a -125 here at 365, so that's becoming more appealing. But we have two rivals, Finland, Sweden, and then followed by two rivals in Canada, America. I find it very, very difficult to believe, and again, this is not an angle that I usually bet. I find it very difficult to believe that one of these games is not going to overtime. I even thought, and I checked it out, it's about 16.5 to 1 to parlay both games to go to overtime. And I thought about it. Well, a $25 bet wasn't worth enough. I looked at a $50 bet. But I expect these games to be very, very tightly played. And Aubrey Travis, Sweden -1. That was my initial thought, but I find it nerve-wracking to fade a team that was just embarrassed and embarrassed heavy. And so I didn't bet that. But I can understand watching Sweden lose to Canada in overtime and watching Finland lose to America 6-1 that anybody would think Sweden -1, because I thought the same thing. I'm not going to bet Sweden -1. If you break down the forward group here, the better forward group, I believe, is on Finland. Pedersen, Forsberg, and Kempe is the first line. Zibanejad has not been good this year. He's centering the second line with Rickard Rakell and Willie Nylander. Now, Nylander's a sniper of the highest quality. Joel Eriksson Ek, Jesper Bratt, Lucas Raymond's, a good third line. Arvidsson, there's a lot of NHL teams that Arvidsson maybe doesn't crack. Maybe he's a healthy scratch for. Elias Lindholm, I thought, was a very big mistake for the Bruins to sign. And Nyquist is looking his age. Because of that, because of Finland's offensive group, Barkov, Rantanen, and Lehkonen, well, that's the best forward line that's going to be on the ice on Saturday morning. Sebastian Aho, Rupi Hintz. Now, I don't love Laine there, but you could even say that's the second best line that's going to be on the ice. Now, if you were to fight that comment by saying, look how much better Sweden's defense is to Finland, you're right. You're absolutely right. Nupla says, do I think Finland scores? Absolutely. Do I? Yes, of course I think Finland. Yes, I think Finland scores. Again, let me say this again. The two best forward lines on the ice are on Team Finland. If this line gets too crazy, I mean, I've never bet a plus 1.5 in my life, and obviously -170, I wouldn't do it here, but I still don't find those bets appealing here. But Sweden shouldn't be this big of a favorite over Finland. They shouldn't be. Trap God says Finland's going 0-3. Trap God, you could easily be right. But let me just hammer this home once again. The best forward line on the ice is Finland's number 1 line, and the second best forward line on the ice is Finland's number 2 line. So yes, there's defensive issues here, but Finland is going to be in this hockey game. This is not going to be a 5-1 or 4-1 hockey game. If it's 4-1, it was 2-1 with 2 empty netters. So just keep that in mind as you attack this hockey game. So at this point, I'm going to be betting overtime for both of these hockey games. The risk reward is almost not enough. It was plus 320 for each of these at 365. I haven't looked at the offshore yet. I was just focusing on 365. It's almost not enough, but I am going to move on it. So, Nutplush says you can get both teams to score in Sweden at plus 105. Just remember there was 2 halves of that Finland American game. So try not to get too caught up in the last 23 minutes of that hockey game. And I did just like anybody else would. And I thought about Sweden -1, and then I sat with it for hours and hours. And so I am going to bet overtime. I'm going to bet overtime. And if this total continues to move to the under, I will be on the under again, even though it's been absolutely crushing me thus far. So there we go. That is our Finland, Sweden breakdown. DC Capper just got back from Costa Rica. Enjoyed the vacation from the bankroll I made during the football season. I love to hear that. I love to hear that, DC Capper. I miss Costa Rica very much. So I hope you had a great time down there. So there is first game. Let's move on to our second game here. We'll get into college basketball in 6 minutes. We're going to have both CMAC and our guy Morgan Spooner with us here. Let's move on to the big one. USA versus Canada. So much on the line here. This total offshore right now is a 6.5. It opened -129 to the under, and now it's just -120 to the under. If you wanted that over 6.5, it was a +112. Now it's just +105. And with Binnington in net, the only under 6.5 I could take between Canada and America would be in the gold medal game. That'd be the only one. So that would be, what's that? Is that that's Thursday night in Boston. That would be the only one I could bet here. Let's take a look at the line history here. So I'm leaving the total out of it. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have Canada -107. They opened up -108. So there's been no movement here. Now, I have bet this. And when it's a best on best in a one-game situation here, I believe in the first meeting, not the championship game, that the road team has a tiny slight advantage coming in as the enemy, knowing that everybody in the building is against you. You get that 300 mentality. It's us against the world. And I believe that America will flourish with this. Let's say America beats Canada here 5-2. I'm going to be extremely interested in backing Canada if they make it, because they may not make it. They're going to have to take out Finland in regulation. But I'll be very interested in backing Canada in Boston. But I want America in Montreal. I got +100. You can still get America at -105. It was just a regular unit bet. When we go through the lines, even before before Quinn Hughes was announced out, we all knew up here that America had the deepest lineup. The power play for both squads is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be very difficult to kill penalties. Again, having Hellebuck is an ace in the sleeve for the Americans compared to Binnington. You're looking at these lines, the Tkachuk brothers are big and nasty and rolling. Austin Matthews, big and nasty. I know about nasty. You have Trocheck, who is an actual fourth line centerman. I mean, he is perfect for this spot. When I look at Canada's team, there's one player that is missing here that I would have on Team Canada. I would have put on Team Canada, especially when you're playing America. That's Tom Wilson. You need to be able to have a player out there that might not intimidate Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk, but where they're going to have to keep their head on a swivel. Canada is missing the bully. You need a bully because Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk, they play like bullies. And they're also snipers of the highest quality. I look at this lineup. Reinhart, McDavid, and Marner. McKinnon, Stone, and Crosby. Marchand, Braden Point, and Jarvis. Konechny, Cirelli, and Hagel. The only guy, Parayko and Doughty on defense, they're the only two guys who can get in the face of a Tkachuk. I think that for Canada to win this tournament, they're going to have to deal with adversity. And the adversity I expect them to deal with is losing to America on Saturday night. I also think that there's a real possibility for overtime here. So now, Trap God, again, if you break down the points per minute on the ice or goals per minute on the ice or any kind of, if you want to take it to any of the advanced metrics in hockey, you would know, Trap God, that America has more firepower than Canada. It's just that Canada has McDavid. And then, to a lesser extent, McKinnon and Crosby. Kelly McKinnon says JT was stirring it up right from the get-go. The biggest problem here is that we don't have the truculence that the Americans have. And the way to bet Canada is to have them lose here to America on Saturday night. So, with all this being said, I don't know if I want overtime in this one. I thought I was going to be betting overtime in both games off this, but I think that America is going to beat Canada in Montreal. And then the whole question will be, what will Canada do to answer in Boston on Thursday night? And we'll see. So with that, all that being said, and I wanted to talk it out to kind of figure out exactly how I wanted to move on it, but overtime in Finland, Sweden, and I'm getting closer to the under 5.5. I've already bet America on Saturday night, and then I've got to decide whether I want to add overtime, and I may do that. Lynn Belvedere, you can say that if you want, but it would be better if you said this Canadian roster does not have the truculence that would be needed to get in the face of some of these guys on America. And again, where is Tom fucking Wilson? Because we have the guy. We have the forward that would force every player on America to look out wherever he is on the ice. We have the guy who could play 6 minutes. He could play 5 minutes in a hockey game and make a huge impression on it. But we don't have him on that out there. And we don't have someone that can really step in the face of these bullies. So thank you, Phil. I'm not going to say your full name, as I know, but it's a clever work. Okay, let's get into college basketball here. That was the Four Nations breakdown. I know we all want to talk college basketball. It is time to talk college basketball. We have a giant 16-game card. We have Spooner joining us here very shortly, but we have the star our Friday appearances ready to rock right now. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, a perfect 16-game card for us to sink our teeth in. Joining us here, the star of Hitting the Books YouTube channel. Please welcome Mr. Conor Mac Picks to the house. CMC Music Factory. How are you, man? You're muted, I think, unless my...
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
You good?
Yeah, your money, man. How...
What up? I'm good. How are you? It's Friday, short card. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. It's a beauty card, too, we can dive into. Let's bring on our next guest. All 16 games going to be rocking with us right here, right now for... we've all been impressed with the depth of knowledge of our next guest. Please welcome Morgan Spooner to the show. Spoon Dog, what's good, man? How are you?
Hey, how we doing, Jimmy? C-Mac. I'm excited for a really good card today. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's fire away. Great to have both of you guys. Now, Daby Cab will be joining us here for the UCLA game. We have stacks action here ready to go. We got money moves is action. Let's roll. Not flush out. That's funny. It's going to be a great night, Saturday night, Bell Center. Let's roll. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern with the Columbia Lions, 12-8, 1-6 in the Ivy League at the Dartmouth Mean Green, 10-10, 4-3 in the Ivy League in Hanover for this one. Let's set this all up and hear from our cappers. Now, we will go back and forth. So C-Mac will get us started in game 1. Spooner will get us started in game 2, and we will roll like that. We get and that is ready to go. Move over to NCAA. Let's go to all markets. Looks like we got some information. Only 16 games. We should have all the information. Let's roll. Columbia comes in off finally snapping their 7-game losing streak in a 74-72 home victory over Brown on Saturday's 2.5-point dogs. Blair Thompson's go-ahead bucket, 8 seconds left. That was their only lead of the game. Now, Justin McKelvey, myself, we think that Brown is a very angry group after that. I mean, but this was a Columbia team that was down 9 at the half, down 12 with 5 minutes left, and still got the W. Dartmouth comes in off their second straight win in third and 4 games, 76-56 at home over Harvard on Saturday as 2.5-point favorites. These teams just met in a February 1st, 95-89 Dartmouth win at Columbia. And that was an interesting spot. Dartmouth led 53-31 at the half in that one. They just absolutely destroyed Columbia. Dartmouth closed as 3.5-point dogs in that one. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have Columbia. So we know Dartmouth closed on the road as 3.5-point dogs. Here, they're only 1-point favorites at home. They opened up as 2-point favorites, and now we are sitting at just a 1-point move towards Columbia. When we get to the total here, we have a 160.5 juice to the over. This opened up at 161.5, and now it did get down to 159 right before the show started, but now we're back at 160.5. So we have a 1-point move towards the under. When we take a look at the cash flow here, 62% of the tickets and 77% of the cash on the spread is on Dartmouth. 75% of the tickets and 86% of cash on the money line is on Dartmouth. 59% of tickets and 56% of cash is on the over. Kong's Clips, the only thing I'm on at this point here in that game, I expect to move on the under if the over keeps getting bet, is overtime. Taking overtime in Finland, Sweden, and Crystal Craig. Happy Valentine's Day to you, my friend. So that is the situation here. If this was a market-based bet only, I would want Columbia. And there's Troy Torrance saying very strong trends from the database in favor of Columbia. Here we go, C-Mac. Get our card started. Ivy League action, Columbia, Dartmouth.
Yeah, I don't think there's I didn't find a ton of edges in this game. For me personally, I think this is a little bit of a coin flip between these two teams, as Columbia has gone on the road and won some games, and Dartmouth, one of these schools, just 6-3 at home. They don't really play tons of defense. Columbia definitely a little bit worse on the defensive numbers. So this was a pass for me. We got a high total. I think they both get to maybe the 80s, but I have no move here. This is a pass for me. I kind of wanted Dartmouth, but when I looked into it, Columbia could easily go in there and win by 5-10. So, I mean, this is just a pass. Take it away. So.
Take it away, Spooner.
So this is my first spot of the day. I had Dartmouth circled kind of looking at this game. Early on in the year, I think a lot of people were high on Columbia. They were winning every game they touched. Kind of look at their season and you look at that Rutgers game and you're playing a team above their head and you look at it and they'd used one lineup into that game. Now we're a few games ahead of that. He's on a 6 different lineups since that Rutgers game. And if you look at it, it's just been a tumultuous downfall since that game. He lost one of his starters, somebody he trusts with the ball, and then going into conference play, that's the worst time to lose people you need to be able to trust. And he still hasn't found anybody he can trust. Columbia's feeling pretty good off that win there at Brown, but I think this Dartmouth team's better than they have been in years past. They already got the win there at Columbia this year. Looking 2 years past again, Dartmouth takes 2 from Columbia, then Columbia will take 2 from Dartmouth. I think this is a really easy Columbia fade spot for me. That continuity is huge. Dartmouth is using the lineup they used to start the season. He knows exactly who these guys are. This is a team that beat Vermont up in the Northeast. Vermont's a really good school. Dartmouth has never beaten them. I think if you look back, maybe that's the first time in 25 years they won that game. So this roster can come together, get some big wins, and Columbia is not a school that they really need to get all that up for. 1.5 is not very much to lay. I think the market's going to do what it can to get some people off Dartmouth. There's nothing else going on today, so the books are going to be really sharp on all these lines. I think the 1.5's an easy number to lay. I'm on Dartmouth with it.
Dartmouth for Spooner. Spooner, answer this question for us. So Troy Torrance says, look at the points Gordon allowed in the paint. Offense that you can count on and is repeatable. Dartmouth depends on 3-point variance. When Dartmouth beat Columbia, they went 16 for 24 from 3. They shot 66.7% from 3. Columbia shot 7 of 26 from 3, just 26.9% from 3. I mean, if you think if we have a spot where Dartmouth scored 27 extra points from the 3-point line than Columbia and won by 6. Now, they were dominating the first half. They were up 22 in the first half. Maybe they took their foot off the gas. That was the only reason why Columbia got in it. But does that concern you at all that this is a team that just went 16 and 24 from 3 in a meeting that was a week ago?
I think it's always a good red flag to look at when a team shoots really hot. Another red flag to look at in that game is Dartmouth had 15, 16 turnovers. But that red flag in the 3-point shooting is just kind of taking advantage of a Jim Engel's defense. If you look back at his teams over the years, bottom 350 and 3-point percentage given up, I think 7 different years out of the last 12. These are some of the he doesn't care. He wants the other team to shoot threes. He doesn't want to give up easy buckets. So if Dartmouth wants to live out there and shoot threes, Columbia is going to let him do it. Dartmouth has the shooters to take advantage of some open shots. I think the 16 turnovers is more the thing I had circled. That's something you can fix. You can look at this and be like, guys, you can't be throwing the ball here. Some of these are unforced turnovers you don't need to be doing. Columbia's defense is not overwhelming. It's not something that it is going to make.
No, that's the problem. As good as they're decent shooting and good inside, like Troy was talking about, they're horrible defensively. I mean, that's why they've lost 7 straight, and I think against the number before they just beat Brown. I mean, what do you take from that?
Like an over is probably a solid look here, but I like Dartmouth a lot. I don't think 1.5 is going to come into it. I think going down the stretch in the second half, I'm going to see Dartmouth walk away with this game and start to feel comfortable.
Very fascinating breakdown here. Spooner, best bet number 1, Dartmouth -1.5. Troy Torrance says the over does also look good. Let's take a look at what that number is once again here. I know it's a 160.5 juice to the over. 160.5, opened up a 161.5. Interesting. All right. Wager Tech says Dartmouth 6-1 last 7 in New Hampshire. That is game number 1. Let's roll on to game number 2 here on our 16-game college basketball slate. 6:30 p.m. Eastern with the Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers, 13-10, 6-6 in the Metro Atlantic. At the Niagara Purple Eagles, 10-14, 5-8 in conference. We're at the Gallagher Center in Niagara Falls, New York. This is an interesting spot because Mount St. Mary's has a heavy rest advantage in this one. They had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 70-67 overtime loss at home to Iona last Thursday, and that was at a pick'em, so 8 days ago. Niagara comes in off its second straight win in 3rd and 4 games, 71-60 at home versus Canisius on Wednesday as 8.5-point favorites. And these teams met back on January 5th in a 68-62 Mount St. Mary's win as 6.5-point favorites. Does Niagara have an answer Start with this total. This total is 134.5. It's minus 120 to the over. This opened up at minus 136, excuse me. Now we're at 134.5. On the point spread, we have Mount St. Mary's plus 1.5, minus 107. They opened up plus 2. They got up to plus 2.5 a little after midnight. Now they're at 1.5. So now we have a half-point move towards Mount St. Mary's. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 46% of tickets and just 36% of the cash on the Mount on the spread. Let's get to all markets, sorry. Then we have on the money line, 27% of tickets and 61% of cash on Mount St. Mary's. So bigger bets coming in on the money line. 80% of tickets, 79% cash on the over. Big shout out to our guy, Cole Leone. Man, OG low bagger at Las Vegas King in the house. Cole Leone, great to see you, man. Love capping with you. By the way, Mr. Belvedere is Dartmouth by at least 5 there. Troy Torrance says Mount St. Mary's is 4-0 against spread with a rest advantage. And there's Razor sharp picks in the house. Razor, great to see you having great college basketball season. Here we go. Spooner, you start this one. Take it away. Mount St. Mary's, Niagara Purple Eagles.
Yeah, Jimmy. Second game, second pick on my card. I really like this Mount St. Mary's team. I think Donnie Lynn's done a great job in his first year as a head coach. They're playing Niagara today. Greg Paulus, he's a point guard I grew up watching. This is a regional matchup up there in New York. Niagara doesn't have much of a home court advantage. If you look at their numbers this year, it looks like they play decent at home. But if you go back to last year, you'll see that they actually played better on the road. That's because there's not a lot of people in the building. It plays like an old rec gym, kind of. You go in, the shot lines aren't the best. It's nothing too exciting. The crowd's not going to go either way. And you have a Niagara team that, as you just said, has won 2 in a row, but one of those is against the worst team in the conference and one of the worst teams in probably all of NCAA basketball. And then the other win really could have gone either way. I thought they were going to lose that game. So they're one possession away from being 3-9 in conference. Coming into that last one, I don't know. Mount St. Mary's is a better team that's kind of tripped up down the stretch. That happens with young coaches. You get older coaches that have more tricks in their bag. They're playing conference play, and they've been studying Mount St. Mary's, what they've been doing this year. But this is a tough team that's been able to play with some good opponents. They have tall players that rebound the ball well. In these long possessions going out in the second half, Niagara's going to be throwing up a lot of shots. And in that rec gym, you don't have the best shot lines. They're going to be missing, and Mount St. Mary's is going to be pulling more rebounds down over and over. Niagara's defense is one of the worst in the conference. If you look at Mount St. Mary's, you're going to say this is one of the worst offenses, and it is. They chuck and they go to rebound and then they put it back up. But when you're playing the worst defense, your offense starts to look a lot better. So when you can combine that with a good defense, I think they can pull away. Mount St. Mary's, I think, is going to be one of the harder teams to get rid of in this conference. I took them today, the plus 2.5. These games always come down to 2 or 3 possessions in the MAAC at the most. You won't see 10-point lines. So catching a few points with who I think is the better team is the spot I want to be on today.
Locked and loaded for Spooner. Second game, second best bet. CMAC, what are your thoughts here? Metro Atlantic, Mount St. Mary's, Niagara Purple Eagles.
Yeah, I get why you want to be on Mount St. Mary's, catching the points. Here's the big issue in this conference with these teams. We talk about, do they cover numbers? A team like Niagara, can you even trust them to cover the 2.5 here? And speaking of, since you brought up Spooner, Greg Paulus, shout out to him. But God, I hated that guy. He's on Duke. Jesus Christ, what a pest that guy was. But let's get to this. One thing about Mount St. Mary's, I think both these teams, through the numbers, aren't very good defensively. I mean, look who we're talking about here, Mount St. Mary's and Niagara. If Mount St. Mary's is in this game, one thing's promising. Their last 2 road games, they did win, which is solid, and they've been pretty good on the road all year, even though they've struggled a tad bit more the last 3 weeks. Like you hit on, they need to not turn. This is a team that's bad turning the ball over. They're right around 351 in the country, 15 turnovers a game. So if they're better with the ball here against Niagara, I agree. I think they can hang in this one. If they don't and they miss their shots, they could lose here by 8 to 10. So this is nothing for me.
We have CMAC staying off of this spot. Bet the Sky on Niagara -1.5. DC Capper on Mount St. Mary's +2. And Spooner on Mount St. Mary's +2. Joey B, my man, gave you a shout out off the top of the show. You're 2-0. You're 2-0, man. It was it's so funny how certain cappers just stay in your mind. Man, sitting there 1-1 with 2 minutes left in the second, I'm like, I'm going to get Joey here. And then, of course, I'm like, Joey B caught me again. Great job, man. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board, 7 p.m. Eastern. We have the respect play of the day from our guy, Res Mob. Man, if you guys, I'd love if you got one of the most important part about Pub Palooza is you get to put a face to the names, and Res Mob is such a class act and quality dude. Him and his wife came to Pub Palooza 2, and man, they are money in the bank. So shout out to Res Mob. Loyola Chicago first half -1.5 is the respect play of the day. St. Louis Billikens 14-11-7-5 in the A10. Loyola Chicago Ramblers 15-9-6-5 in the A10. We're in Chicago, Illinois Gentile Arena for this one. We have the line history here. St. Louis +2.5 at -109. They opened up at +2.5 -108. This got to 3. I didn't know it got to 3. It moved to 3 about 15 minutes before the show started, and then that lasted for a few minutes, and then went right back to 2.5. So we're at 2.5. We've had a 1 cent move, 1 cent move towards the Ramblers. Let's get to the total here in this one. From a total perspective, we have a 141 -112 to the over. Opened up at 141, dropped to 140, got up to 141.5. Now we're just back at 141. Let's get to the cash flow here for this one. Let's see if we have all the information. Beautiful. 58% of the tickets and 81% of the cash is on Loyola Chicago, but this line's not moving towards them. 77% of the tickets and 79% of cash is on the over. Both teams just played on Tuesday. Billikens 7-5 in conference, Ramblers 6-5 in conference. St. Louis comes in off their second loss in a row and third in 4 games, 76-74 at home in overtime to conference leader George Mason as 1.5-point favorites. Loyola Chicago comes in off their third win in 4 games, 87-80 in overtime at Richmond as 4.5-point favorites. So, St. Louis coming off facing the best team in the conference. Loyola Chicago needing overtime to beat the worst team in the conference. This is the first meeting of the year between these two, and they meet again on March 1st. What stopped me from moving on the Billikens, and we're going to have CMAC get this started, was just how the Ramblers are quite a different team at home. And I didn't want to put too much emphasis into these road games that we had just seen, and then I thought, you know what? Let's hear our experts break it down, and we'll go from there. So take it away for us, CMAC. Billikens, Loyola Chicago in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, when I went to this game last night, I think this could be a very tight game. I think, though, it's the total when I was looking at this, the under. And I haven't really been on much of these St. Louis unders. I think I've only been on maybe 2. 5 and 18 is this number. Just been a different team than push and pace the last few years. And just a couple guys offensively. Obviously, they're missing a few early on. But they played decent on the road, and I think they could be in this basketball game. But they got to kind of continue how they do. Slow it down, make this game gritty, and keep this game into the 60s, I think. Loyal, on the other side, you mentioned it. They went through their little problem, had a few guys out. I think they've been playing a lot better. They won 3 or 4. They are at home, but I can't back them here at home at all. I think this game could be tight. I kind of lean St. Louis, but I just didn't find enough in this game. But the total to me was the most interesting, leaning under.
I wanted to move on the Billikens, but I pumped the brakes. So I'm a very similar thought process as yours. Let's hear what Spooner has to say. Take it away, Billikens Ramblers.
Yeah, Jimmy. This is my favorite play on the card. My NCAA play of the day. St. Louis Billikens plus 2.5. If you look at this Loyola Chicago team, they started out the season really well. Coming into a Christmas MTE, they only had one loss, and that's kind of a spot in the season you need to make a mark at, because they got 3 players injured at that point, and 2 of those players are back now, but their starting point guard is gone, and he's not coming back for the rest of the year. If you look at them since, they lost those 3 games immediately without their point guard. And it's been a lot of back and forth, win one, lose one, win one, lose one kind of action. And the A10 is one of the toughest conferences. You got to take care of your home court. And going back, Loyola Chicago has done that. They're a newer team to this conference. Last year, I don't think Drew Valentine dropped a game at home. But I think a lot of people are going to circle that. A lot of people are also going to be upset with the way St. Louis has treated them going back the last few games. I've heard a lot of cappers in different areas. Hey, I like St. Louis here. I haven't necessarily been on them, but it seems like they've let a lot of people down. You have that Robbie Avila coming into that last game. He's been having a really down season. And if you look at that last game, even though they did lose to George Mason in overtime, they played a great game. And Avila came out and really had a turning point in his season, probably. I think he's got the confidence back to do that against the best defense in the A10, one of the best defenses in the country. I think he can do that again here against Loyola. Valentine, going back through the years, has been a coach that hangs his hat on the defensive end of the court, and this team has not been able to live up to that. Part of it's losing your point guard and some of your minutes down the stretch. It makes it hard when you don't have the guys you trust out there in conference play to do what you want. St. Louis is a team that really just trusts 6 guys. We were just talking about this the other day. Jimerson was coming off an injury, had rolled his ankle. I think Jimerson played really well in that game and played through some pain. I think he'll be fully healthy for this game. I think if you look at St. Louis running out the same starters they did to start the season versus a Loyola Chicago team running the 7th lineup, the continuity is going to make a difference. This St. Louis coach really knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the court. In past years, he's liked to push tempo more than he has this year. And I think that's just more doing what he can against the A10 defenses versus the lower defenses he played in past years. But you got Isaiah Swope too, a 5'10" dog of a point guard. And 5'10" point guards in D1 basketball get there for a reason. There's 150 guys taller than them that can shoot better than them. They're really good point guards. You want them on your team. There's a reason he came over to St. Louis with the coach. I look at that continuity. I think it plays a big deal here. If you look over at Ken Palm, they say St. Louis has a about 40% chance to win this game. I don't think that's accurate. I think they have about a 55% chance to win this game. And if they do lose it, I think it's on one basket. So those 2.5 in my pocket are going to be nice at the end of the game. One more note on Loyola Chicago. They left Sister Jean hanging earlier in the season. They had her come out on the court, made a big deal about it, and the handshake line just walked past her. Twitter got all over her, attacked them. But St. Louis, they're represented by the Billikens. That's their mascot. This is a good luck charm representing the way it ought to be. You can't leave Sister Jean hanging. It's Valentine's Day. They're going to march her back out there again, and they're going to be saying all these sweet things to her. But I think
maybe they should help her get her hand up. Like, you know, I think she's old, man. So just we could run right past her there.
I think we get to see Robbie Avila have a really good game. I think Swope's gonna have a really good game, and I think St. Louis.
They need more though, real quick. So they need more than those 2 guys. I mean, they depend on them, but I mean that's it right now. Lately, the offense for them. Jimerson needs to be bigger. Yeah.
I think he's quite possibly the best player on that court. He doesn't have the biggest name, but playing on a bum ankle is really hard to do. And I was really impressed with what I saw from him in that last game. I think playing a little bit healthier, the St. Louis team is going to be hard to put away going down the stretch. A10 conference, I know we don't look at it as a Power 4 conference, but there's very few conferences out there that have better competition than this. I really like St. Louis here today. This is not a team I've been on all year, but I've watched them play a ton. And I'm excited to watch this game tonight. I think they steal this one from Loyola Chicago.
We're locked in for game 3. So 3 games, 3 best bets here from Spooner. We also have Reds Mob's respect play of the day on Loyola Chicago first half -1.5. So I'm interested in St. Louis. I'm interested in joining you on St. Louis. I'll see if I get there. Let's roll on. We head to Cambridge for a very disappointing Harvard Crimson squad hosting the Cornell Big Red. Cornell Big Red 13-7, 5-2 in conference. The Crimson 7-13, 2-5 in conference. Cornell comes in off having their 3-game winning streak snapped in a 103-88 loss at home to Yale on Saturday as 3.5-point dogs. Harvard comes in off their second straight loss, 4th in 5 games, 76-56 at Dartmouth on Saturday's 2.5-point dogs. And these teams just met. They just met in a 75. Oh, let's get that up here. There we go. Thank you, Jose. These teams just met in a 75-60 win at Cornell 2 weeks ago. Cornell closed as here. Cornell closed as 8.5-point favorites and shot 57.1% from the field in that victory. Let's hear what Spooner has to say about this one. Let me set up the line history here. We have a total of 153.5. It's -112 to the over. It opened up at 153.5, got up to 154.5 for a cup of coffee, but we're back at 153.5. On the spread here, we have a Cornell -6.5 at -106. They opened up at 5.5. This got to 6.5 about 30 minutes ago. It got to 7. This was a 7 18 minutes ago. We've had a half point of buyback. We're back at 6.5. So we've had a 1-point move towards the Big Red. And let's get to the cash flow here for this one. Sorry, here we go. We have 69% of the tickets and 83% of cash on Cornell, 69 and 69 on the over. And our guy Razor is also into Columbia here, also into Columbia in this one. And this is Stacks play of the day number 2. So we have Stacks play of the day number 2. That is Harvard plus 6.5. Spooner, take it away. Your plan of attack.
I didn't move on this game, but I did lean Cornell in it. Cornell has a first-year coach, Jean-Jacques, and they played really well here in Ivy League play. They haven't won a home game yet, but what they have done is not dropped a road game, and that's probably a result of them playing some of the weaker teams in the Ivy. But again, today they play Harvard, who does not look very good. Cornell Big Red on Valentine's Day kind of seems like probably the play for me. Cornell's offense is really good. They're efficient with the ball every time down there. 6 points is a lot to walk away from a rival. It's a New York team versus a Massachusetts team. There's just a natural dislike for each other. The 6 points down the stretch is why I didn't get on it. If this was a smaller number, I might be able to get there with Cornell. But if it was a smaller number, I might wonder why Harvard was getting such a small number. This is probably a -6 there for the NBA bettors that are coming in and looking for the -6 lines they're used to seeing. I like Cornell's offense so much more than I like Harvard's ability to score. I think that's the big difference maker here. You're looking at a 153 total, so they're telling you there's going to be a lot of points. Jean-Jacques' offense has been impressive to me to this point. I don't think Harvard has the ability to do anything with it. They have the advantage of just seeing it a couple of games ago, but they lost by 15 then. The 6 they might be able to cover here, but I don't think they have a chance to win. And if they don't have a chance to win, I'm not putting my money on them.
That makes sense here. Shout out to Bruce Hallett, Chang Kim in the house as well. Ron Crawford checking in on break. Great to see Ron Crawford. His play of the day is the Billikens. Play of the day for Ron Crawford is the Billikens. Here we go, CMAC. Ivy League action, Big Red, Crimson. Take it away.
Yeah, I didn't have anything here. I'd lead Cornell as well. I don't really want to lay these points on the road. They just played a couple weeks ago, too. And we'll get into a couple of the bigger games here coming up. And there's always these Fridays to bounce back. Saturday, these teams play. We'll get to those games coming up. But problem is, when you take this total, you could go Cornell's team total here, because I don't think you could get over, because Harvard can't score. This is one of the worst offensive teams and shooting teams in the country. I mean, they're in the 300s in just almost every category. And that's been their problem. And when you can't get to 70 points, and they don't have a great defense like they've had maybe in the last couple of years, and they've just struggled, and they haven't even, covered numbers. So this was just a pass for me. I couldn't get there in the end.
I was the same way. Look, I want to fade Harvard as much as anybody, but this just couldn't get there. Let's roll on to our next spot on the board here, and I have moved on this one. Pennsylvania Quakers 6-14, 2-5 in the Ivy. The Yale Bulldogs 14-6, 7-0 in the Ivy. We're John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Haven, Connecticut. So obviously, this is very similar from a spot that hurt me yesterday. I was on, with confidence, and nothing changed while during the game. I got more confident. I was on NJIT first half plus 10. They were down 4 with 5 minutes and 34 seconds left, and didn't score another point in the half. It was very difficult to watch. And here I'm on Pennsylvania first half at plus 10. This is the exact same spot or exact same number that I was on NJIT yesterday. And I thought about not betting it because of the debacle with NJIT. And I said, fuck, just no, bet it again. So this line as a big move. Oh, that's a relief. I mean, not that equates to cash all the time, but we've had now a 2.5 point move towards Pennsylvania, 17.5 to 15. See what it's done on the first half, if there's been any movement there.
There's 9.5. 9 is.
I would, if it's 2.5 point move on the full game, you kind of want more than that, honestly. An 8.5 on one offshore. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, okay.
Just moved 8.5 7 minutes ago there. Okay. Again, it's so hard. Great job, Mel. You were rolling, absolutely rolling, Mel. It was a fun breakdown. I wish you were here for the Finland Sweden breakdown. So it was a fun one. So not much more to say. I moved on the first half plus 10. Let's get to the total here on this one. We have this total right now. Would total at 150. 149.5. It opened up at 148. It's climbed up to 149.5. I see 150s at other spots on the board here. Pennsylvania comes in off its third straight loss, 61-59 at home to Princeton last Friday's 8.5 point dogs. Yale comes in off its 8th straight win, 103-88 at Cornell on Saturday's 3.5 point favorites. Look, Yale can just shoot the lights out, and we watched them do it. They just shot 62.5 from the field and 47.6 from three in their victory over Cornell. These teams just met in the 90-61 Yale victory at Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago. Yale went up 20-4 and never looked back. Yale shot 57.1 from the field and 53.3 from three in that one. They were 11.5 point favorites in that one. Look, if they shoot again like that, I'm going to lose. But they've already smacked Pennsylvania in the mouth. It's a possible letdown spot for them. Am I going to sit back and expect them to be shooting 60% from the field each and every game? And no. So I bet Pennsylvania first half plus 10. CMAC, take it away. Ivy League action here. Quakers, Bulldogs.
Yeah, and this is one. I mean, Yale, of course, best team here in Ivy. But they play Princeton tomorrow. Big game. You know what I mean? I talk about these Saturday games. So this seems just like the perfect flat spot. Just like you're talking about. I love the first half too. I mean, I can't take a 9 or an 8.5. So I love 10.5, 10. I think that's the move. They're gonna have to give it their best because I just think it's a flat spot. Because Yale, the shooting just way better. Penn's awful. Yale just can dominate them on the boards. I mean, Yale top 20 rebounding team. Like Penn's down bottom half, right around 330. They just and we saw in that first matchup where they got their ass kicked 90-61, but it just seems like kind of a lull with the big game tomorrow on Saturday where I think Penn, hit a few shots. And like you mentioned, Yale's not just they could be up by 20 here at half, definitely. But I thought the double digits first half, not only the kind of the full game, but were to grab it last night. That's what I have right here. So it just has moved too much here for me. So I got about.
I'm very happy to hear that you're on it as well. Relieving because just because of what happened with NJIT, no points in the last 5 minutes and 34 seconds of that half.
Some of these halves, the swings in the second half of these games, I might not make it.
You're kidding me, Spooner. Quakers for CMAC and I. We, it hurts the Cappers here on our show that we talk about action that they can bet right now, but we know that he's got it in his pocket. It won't be for record keeping purposes, but in his pocket. I've got him here plus 10. Spooner, take it away. Quakers, Bulldogs.
Yeah, Jimmy. I don't have action on this game, but it is one I looked at. Yale's a good team. I remember some games early on in the year where I wasn't that impressed with them. I watched some backups for Delaware come in and just scoot all around the guards. They looked really just like slow laterally to me. I thought coming into the year that James Jones probably had a good team in the Ivy, but I didn't think he was going to run it. He's got a decent chance to go undefeated in this league. If you look back, he's been a coach for this team for 25 years. His 2016 team made an upset in the tournament. If you look back to that, he played Penn twice that year too. And what Penn did in the second game that year was play him a little better. Steve Donahue was the coach then. He's the coach now. He's also been a coach in the Ivy for 25 years. I expect Steve Donahue to make some adjustments. He doesn't want to get blown out by Yale. I think Penn does have some of that quickness that you need to do something to Yale. Yes, Yale can shoot, but shots don't always go in. And once you see a couple miss, the rim kind of shrivels up. I don't think Penn's going to have a chance to win this game, but I think 16's too big. Definitely a good team for James Jones this year. I don't think 16 is a number they can't cover against Penn though. So I'm not on it. That's all.
They got to box out. No second chance points. That's, I think, the biggest thing. So even if they're missing shots, that's how good Yale is. That's big here. Yeah.
There's no killer instinct to want to blow him out by 20. He doesn't want to shove the guy down, stomp on him. These guys are friends. They've known each other for most of their lives. I don't know. I like to stay close. Throw him a bone.
Yeah, why do it? They already blew him out by fucking 30.
Yeah.
Say.
Yeah, and shot 60 plus from the field.
Yeah.
Let's talk our lucky lefty sportsman of the year in the house. And Fat Wally, Daytona 500 outright. Brian, 18-1. Bell, 25-1. Jones, 40-1. Algier, 66-1 for Fat Wally. Thank you for sharing that. Not too long now. Could be hanging out with Wally at the Southtown 101. Good God, I'm excited. All right, we roll on to our next spot on the board, and we have reached Stacks play of the day number 1, a play that I've already bet. Now, he got a half point better than me. Shout out to our guy Stacks in the house.
Stacks, 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 stacks.
Wow, I'm interested in that nut flush. It completely works with that whole breakdown. Then I can put a little bit more on Penn. Penn team total over. That's you're speaking my language. I love it. Princeton Tigers 16-6, 5-2 in the Ivy. The Brown Bears 10-10, 2-5 in the Ivy. We are at Nasty Nate's, Providence, Rhode Island. Take a look at the line history here for Princeton Brown. We'll start with the total. This total is a 139, juice to the under at minus 113. It opened up at 140.5. It got down to 138 before there was buyback, but we have a point and a half move towards the under. On the point spread here for this spot, we have Brown plus 4.5 minus 105. They opened up plus 4. So we've had a half point move towards Princeton. This, though, opened. Let's see where it opened up here. So again, it can, it depends what books you're looking at when you consider the line movement. This opened up at the place we used to play poker at 3.5, and it opened up at 3.5 at 12:35 p.m. 21 minutes later, it was a 4. So there was a legit respect to this move to Brown, and then at 8 p.m. it was a 4.5. It got back to 4. Now it's back at 4.5, and it got back to 4.5 13 minutes ago. So we have a 1-point move to Princeton here. So again, it depends what books you're looking at. So let's get into the cash flow for this one. We have, here we go. Sorry. We have 33% of the tickets and 16% of the cash on Brown. 67% of tickets and 69% cash on the over. Princeton comes in off its second straight win, 61-59 at Pennsylvania last Friday as 8.5-point favorites. Brown comes in off its second straight loss and third in 4 games, 74-72 at Columbia on Saturday's 2.5-point favorites. We talked about that game already. They were the only time they were behind was with seconds left. And these teams just met 2 weeks ago in a 69-49 Princeton victory at Jadwin Gymnasium. Princeton was 7.5-point favorites. They were dominant in that victory from start to finish. They were up 37-23 at the half. So this is a double spot here for me. I mean, Brown's got to be extremely angry at what just happened against Columbia. Brown's got to be extremely angry at what just happened against Princeton. So I am here on the Brown Bears at +4.5. And Res Mob, that looked good until the last 5.5 minutes of the half, man. Looked like an easy casher, man. Take it away for us here, Spooner. Ivy League action, Princeton Brown.
Yeah, with this one, Jimmy, I think it's really important to look at the weekend as a whole when you look at it. You have a game played on Valentine's Day and then a second game played tomorrow. And both of these teams do that. The Ivy League's going to do that over the next few weekends. And if you look at who Brown has on deck versus who Princeton has on deck, you might notice that Princeton has a bigger game. Brown's already gone ahead and beat Penn. These are bottom feeder teams. But on the other hand, I was just talking about Yale has a chance to go undefeated in this league. And I don't think Mitch Henderson wants to let him do that. Yale's a good team, and the Ivy League is a proud conference. You don't want to let anybody go undefeated in it. It's just kind of one of those, somebody's got to take one for him. And if you look at the Ivy League, Princeton's probably the best fit to take Yale out. If you're doing that right now in practice, you're not preparing for Brown the way you should be. And Brown has some good players. Lily's really impressive, nicknamed Ivy Iverson for a reason. He can keep a team in a game. And when you come down the stretch and you have one team that's kind of focused on a different game and one team that's not having the best year and just wants to continue fighting, 5 points can be a lot. I think Brown's probably the side to be on, but Princeton's the better team. If they were to show up on a neutral court and everything was even, motivation, preparation-wise, I think I would have to lean Princeton. But because Yale's on deck and Brown doesn't have a game that means a lot to him on deck, I think Brown's probably a little more prepared, probably looking at this game a little closer than what Princeton is, and that's why I'd lean that way. But it's not a game that I feel strong enough about to get on. These coaches know each other really well. They probably met 25 times at this point in their careers, so you're not going to have a lot of surprises, X's and O's wise.
I like it. I like the breakdown. More confidence for me here with the Brown spot alongside Justin. Let's hear what CMAC has to say. CMAC, take it away. Princeton Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to be on Brown here because a lot of this stuff lines up because I think the big game is tomorrow. They want to beat Yale, especially after already losing to them just a couple weeks ago. I think that's the big one. But just overall, they're the better team. One thing too with Princeton, what do we get? They're 6-1, on the road this year. Only 2-4 ATS. They covered against St. Joe's and Merrimack, but they haven't lately. These last 3 or 4 road games, they haven't covered. the number, kind of just getting in there and winning, like we just saw against Penn. So, which was, for them not to score against Penn was fucking unbelievable last Friday. Like, a team that gives up 80 to everybody and 61 points. Don't get me going into that fucking last week, but I think it's Brown too. This was just, I haven't moved on it yet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this market does. I don't want to see fives available, but this situationally, I don't look. I mean, these don't always succeed, and I don't want to sit here and be like ridiculously bullish in an Ivy League game on a Friday. But everything for me works here. X's and O's wise. Forget the market, but X's and O's wise, you have two different angles of anger for Brown. They need this game right here, right now, and Princeton has Yale on deck, and is coming off destroying.
They need to make their shots, their free throws. Jimmy, it's watching that sometimes.
You also might get a little chip on the shoulder performance from Lilly. On Princeton, you have the best player.
He's the guy.
A lot of people are speaking up Xavier Lee all the time. When you're on one court and everybody in the gym's pointing at that guy, hey, he might be in the NBA, hey, this, that. Everybody else kind of chips up a little bit. I like Brown a lot, Jimmy. I definitely see your angle here. I think I'd be more confident than what you are.
I like it. Rod's Wax says, after playing a road game, Princeton 0-6 against the spread, 4-13 against the spread as a favorite. So that works beautifully, Rod. Great timing. Let's roll on. We leave the Ivy and head to the Horizon League, home of the Green Bay Phoenix. What ass clownery operation going on over there in Wisconsin. 2-23 on the year, 0-14 in conference, and they are hosting the Northern Kentucky Norse, 11-14, 6-8 in conference. I made 4 bets before I came here. This is not one of them. Let's set up the line history here for this mighty Norse spot. We have the Norse right now at -6.5. -6.5. They opened up right there. This got to 7.5 this morning, but we're back at 6.5. So we've had 2 cents of movement. That's it. Just 2 cents of movement towards the Norse. From a total standpoint here, we have a 140. It's -112 to the over. This has dropped from 141.5, and it's moving quickly here. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 65% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on Northern Kentucky. 71-71 on the over. Look, I tried to get to Green Bay. It's just so hard. And also the idea of backing Green Bay in the first half, because we've seen them play well in first halves and then completely crumble in the second half. But that's not even holding form right now. The Norris had their 2-game winning streak snapped. If saturated, if you're asking me, I have no idea what you're referring to. So let's say no. Northern Kentucky had their 2-game winning streak snapped, an 81-76 loss at home versus Robert Morris on Saturday's 1.5-point favorites. Green Bay comes in off its 20th straight loss, 89-74 at PFW as 15.5-point dogs. These teams met in a 78-60 Northern Kentucky victory back on January 4th. The Norse were 12.5-point favorites in that one. Take it away for us, CMAC. Norse against the Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't have a lot here. I think it's Northern Kentucky. I can't back Green Bay. I can't back them. I haven't seen really anything, and they're so inconsistent. Like, they do play a good half of basketball. What half is that going to be? That's another problem in this game. Can they stay within them early? Or is it the second half where they get their ass kicked? I mean, Northern Kentucky is the better team, but not even with them. They're only 6.5 on the road. This team's 6-17 ATS. They're still a shitty team offensively. Don't shoot the ball great. But a team like Green Bay could make you look good. You know, because they've already beat them earlier this year by what did you say, 18? I think it was. So yeah, I'm off here. You know, if I had to, I'd lay it with Northern Kentucky, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, but here, Rod's White saying Norris 1-9 against spread on the road. I tried to get on Green Bay.
They need 10. Like, I need double digits. That's where they've covered a couple times. They lost by 14, just covered against Oakland at home. You know, they lost by 4. That was one of their better games against Youngstown, right? Green Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went through it. See, I was trying hard to find. I thought, you know, I have no problem. You guys know me. I want to put lipstick on pigs, but
oh yeah, me too.
This pig's fucking hideous. Spooner, take it away. Norris, Phoenix.
Yeah, Doug Gottlieb doesn't have these guys trying to play basketball at all.
Worst hire. I can't believe that.
The best player on this team, Anthony Roy, has played 11 games of basketball this year. He hasn't played a single conference game. This is just a team that's kind of quit on their coach. If you look at their stats across the board offensively, they're top 100 in the country in 2-point percentage. They shoot free throws 12th in the country. Like, these are players that might not be terrible basketball players, but if you look around, their adjusted defensive number is 350th in the country. Their offensive rebounding is 364th in the country. These are numbers that just say, I'm not trying to play basketball. They can. Doug Gottlieb's run a radio show. I hear a lot of people say, oh, he can't do a radio show and can't coach at the same time. There's been coaches that have done that before. I don't think that distraction is the reason Gottlieb can't coach. I think Gottlieb can't coach because this is his first year trying to coach in D1, which is incredibly hard. Some of these guys coming from the top of the D2 ranks that you don't know of, that haven't been on haven't been on TV as much, are much better coaches. They're ready for the job, and I don't think these players respect him. Now, that all that being said, you have decent players. Kentucky hasn't played that well on the road. If you could get the guys to try one or two just to not lose every conference game, maybe this is it. But looking ahead, they still have a shot with Detroit Mercy, and if Green Bay hasn't got a conference win at that point, that Detroit Mercy game is probably the one I got circled for them. I'm not trying to come on screen right here and give out Green Bay money line so you guys can watch them lose by 35 points tonight. But if I were to give out a pick in this game, it would be Green Bay money line, because when the odds are this, all you're telling me is, can we get a couple guys to show up and try? Well, they could be pretty motivated to try. These guys could be playing for a different coach next year, and they could circle this game as, hey, look, I put up 30 versus a decent Northern Kentucky team. I helped lead this team to their first conference win. Everybody else had quit, tried on the sidelines, and that power conference coach is going to be like, yeah, I really see that. I see what you got going there, and that's going to be something he can use moving forward. It's that spot in Moneyball where you got to justify how I'm coaching for next season. And I don't think Gottlieb's impressed anybody, but the players haven't either, and they're the only ones that don't have money coming in from a radio show next year. That's all.
Yeah, the problem is he just can't. You shouldn't have done both. If he took the coaching job, he just should have put the radio off until he was done. That's all. That's what he should do, you know, or stay in radio and don't fucking coach, because he is a shitty coach. So he needs to keep his radio job, I guess. Fucking loser.
Yeah, he's not. Everything is gone exactly sort of where we wanted it to. Not to be a dick and not to want the worst for somebody, but this guy's
bringing the white guy's perspective on things, Jimmy.
But let's roll on. But we do have coin. Team total under 67.5 at minus 115. Coin. You know, the thing for me is when you have a show, or you know, and you're watching a sport and you're like, oh, I could coach them. I could coach that. I know basketball. I want that person to fall on their face. You know, that's all. I want everyone to understand how difficult coaching is. And that's why, you know, we talk about it in NFL when they fire the coach halfway through and people think there's going to be a bump. I mean, that's the most complicated sport in the world. But like, I follow a couple groups of basketball coaches online, and the plays that they put on are so complicated. Like I have to sit there for like half an hour to grasp it. Just a single play that they'll put on board. We can get into it, but I'm happy that Gottlieb's fallen on his face. Let's roll on. We have Spooner starting this one, 7 p.m. Eastern. Ohio Bobcats 13-11, 7-4 in the MAAC. Kent State Golden Flash is 68, 6-5 in the MAAC. We are in Kent, Ohio for this one. Ohio comes in off its second win in 3 games, 86-81 at Bowling Green on Tuesday as 4.5-point favorites. Kent State comes in off its third straight win, 91-83 at home over Central Michigan on Tuesday as 8.5-point favorites. Now, Kent State shot 54.2 from the field and 53.3 from 3 in the victory. And these teams met back on January 24th in a 61-59 Ohio home victory. In that one, Ohio opened up -1.5 and closed at +1.5. So I mentioned that just because we are always so excited when a team goes from dog to favorite. This team went from favorite to dog and still won. So it's just something to mention here. BFV says Kent State moneyline parlay with somebody. Shout out to Man Bear Pig in the house. So here, let's set up the line history in this Bobcat spot. This total is a 145.5 minus 119 to the over. It opened up 144.5. So a 1 point move towards the over. In the point spread scenario, we have Ohio plus 5.5 and minus 108. This opened right there at 5.5. It was at 5. It also got up to 6 about 20 minutes before the show started, but we're right back at 5.5. So we've had no movement at all. And then when we get to the cash flow for this Ohio spot, and this may be telling, 54% of the tickets and 73% of the cash is on Kent State. Big bets coming in on Kent State. Line not moving. 70% tickets, 71% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Spooner. Bobcats, Golden Flashes.
Yeah, Jimmy, I looked really hard at Kent State here. It's a team I really like, that. And they already played Ohio this year. It was a one possession game at the end of it. And Kent State, the second half of that game, they outworked Ohio across the board. But what they didn't do is they didn't outshoot Ohio. They shot terribly. They probably wasted 15 opportunities to win that game in the second half. It was really frustrating to be on the other side. Ohio's been dealing with some injuries, and they just got their center back. They're starting to get a little healthier. On the other side of things, Kent State just rested their best player, Von Cameron Davis, for that Arkansas State matchup. They got the win without their best player on the floor. I think that was kind of a move by the coach to say, hey, guys, what do you got? Arkansas State is one of the best teams in their own conference. They got a great young coach. It's Nate Oates, his head recruiter, the guy that's brought in all of his talent over the last few years. So that's a program that's on the up and up. And Kent State just went in there and just played them and won. I think being able to play without your best player makes you find new ways to score. And for a Kent State team that is having issues scoring the ball, that's exactly what they need. 5 points seems about right, though. And I can't trust Kent State to open this up. If they don't shoot a single 3-point shot in this game, I think they win by 25 points. But they're going to shoot 23-point shots, and I don't think a lot of them are going to go in. That gets out of control. All of a sudden, Ohio goes on a run, and you start having to shoot more, and they start doing the things that they shouldn't be doing to win the game. That being said, at the end of the game, I expect Kent State to win. If you're looking for a really juice play, the money line, adding into a bad parlay or something could be a side, but I'm not laying the points with Kent State today, and I definitely don't trust Ohio to stay in it. Rivalries like this, I don't expect one team to take two of them in the same year, so it would be Kent State or nothing for me, but I'm off it. I really like that play by the coach, though, to rest Von Cameron Davis in a game like that.
Interesting breakdown. This was a tough one here for me as well. Let's hear what CMAC has to say about it. Take it away, CMAC. Maction, Bobcats, Golden Flashes.
Just real quick to touch on the total of this game. I was on the under in this first matchup when these teams get together. Yeah, I think it leads to an under. All of a sudden, Kent State, have a night shooting. I don't trust them enough. They've, lately been changing a few things up. They're playing some some bad teams. Arkansas State was a solid game. They just won by 1 there. But yeah, can they hit shots consistently? This has been a good rivalry. Usually Kent State, but the last 3 matchups, Ohio has got them. I don't think Ohio's very good on the road. I got hooked against Bowling Green, covering the whole game. Jimmy's awful. This Ohio team doesn't play any fucking defense. But they went to the free throw line. I forgot in that game. Watch it here real quick. What they hit 30 of 34, 88%. So that was huge for them there. Even for a Bowling Green team, I knew that the defense isn't there, but that was tough the other night. But I think I just don't want to lay. I think this is Kent State or nothing. Just the trust isn't there offensively. I think they can do well, on the defensive side. That's where they have to, at home, get this done. And since Ohio, what's his name, came back, I think this is what now will be his 3rd or 4th game. Clayton, 2 out of 3, he's been good. They'll need him to be big here again for Ohio. So, yeah, of course, me with this total under, and if I had a free bet, I'd take Kent State, but I can't get there.
Yeah, this was a tricky one. I stayed off as well. Let's roll on. Let's grab our next spot here on the board. We head back to the Metro Atlantic for our next spot, 7 p.m. Eastern. Fairfield Stags, 9-15, 5-8 in conference. At the St. Peter's Peacock, 7-13, 2-10 in conference. We're at the Yanatelli Center in Jersey City, New Jersey. Take a look at the line history here. We have I thought I had this set up here. We have Fairfield plus 3.5. They opened up plus 4.5, 7:39 p.m. It took 12 hours for it to move to 4. And now we have a 3.5. So it's just been constant movement in the direction of the Stags, but a 1-point move in total. We get to the total. We have. Oh, sorry about that. It's not that. I don't know. I'm tripping. It's fucking COVID playing fucking tricks in my head. We have this total at 131.5. That's now a 131.5 point move towards the under. And cash flow wise, it's close to a 50-50 situation. 55% of the tickets on St. Peter's and 57% of the cash on them. 72 and 70 on the over. So the market does make the Fairfield Stags appealing. Both teams bring losing streaks into this matchup. Not quite a streak for Fairfield, but they've lost 4 in 5 games. 4 of their last 5 games. Coming off 77-71 loss at home to Sacred Heart on Saturday's 1.5 point home dogs. St. Peter's comes in off its 5th straight loss, 84-83 in overtime Manhattan on Saturday's 4.5 point dogs. This is the lone meeting between these two squads. Take it away for us here, CMAC Metro Atlantic action, Stags, Peacocks.
Yeah. Waiting here too. There is a 4 out here. Caesars.
Okay.
Minus 110.
Yeah.
Have to take Fairfield here. I don't think St. Peter should be laying 4 to anybody right now. And when you get back to it, it's been what they've kind of, they want to slow everything down and play defense. That hasn't been happening, this year. That's why they continuously lose, just loss after loss after loss. And they don't shoot the ball well enough to be laying a number, period. Like if they go and win here by 8, I think they could. But I think Fairfield is in this from jump. This team's not very good. They're not great on the road. There's 2-9. But at 4, I'll grab these points in a game that I think's tight. I kind of lean under here as well. But just give me the 4 with Fairfield.
Fairfield plus 4 minus 110 for CMAC Spooner. Stags, Peacocks, the Yanatelli Center.
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere with this one. I like St. Peter's team. Their ability to offensive rebound really jumps off the page analytically. But if you look at it a little closer, that's just because they're really bad at shooting the ball. When you throw the ball off the backboard and chase it, I don't know if that should count as an offensive rebound, but that's part of their offense, and it works sometimes. Fairfield's not having a great season. They had a little magical full court shot last weekend. That was cool to see, but they just lost one against Sacred Heart. That's a D1 school they share a town with. So that's a big game for them. You want to win that. That's the first year that Sacred Heart's been in the conference. So they get one more shot at Sacred Heart, and that's not till towards the end of the year. Outside of that, I don't see Fairfield circling a lot of the games on their calendar. I could see him covering this line. Like Connor, I don't trust St. Peter's to cover this number. If it was flipped the other way, I'd really like that +4 with St. Peter's, because I would tell you that their ability to offensive rebound is just going to keep them from falling out. Fairfield has shown the ability to get some big wins. It's been a while, but if you look at St. Peter's, they've thrown out 11 different lineups throughout the course of the season. That's in 20 games. So these guys they don't have continuity on the floor. They're not practiced well together. And Fairfield, on the other hand, is using the starting lineup they ran for the first game. So that +4, I really do like it. It's not a huge home court advantage or anything here for St. Peter's. I don't recognize the gym off the top of my head, but I know it's not a big one. I'd be on Fairfield or nothing.
Rod Wacker says St. Peter's lost each of its last 7 night games against conference opponents as well. My dude on Mount St. Mary's tonight will review all action, but that is a Spooner spot. All right, Fairfield +4, -110 for CMAAC. Spooner will get this one started here, and I bet this one. This is bet 3 of my 4 bet card. Looks like there'll be at least one addition at this point. But I'm on the Siena Saints -2.5. Mr. Belvedere mentioned that he's on them as well. Marist Red Foxes 16-5, 9-3 in the Metro Atlantic at the Siena Saints, 11-13, 6-7 in conference. We're in Albany, New York for this one. Line history wise, Siena, this has been rolling all over the place too. It's been bouncing all over the place. It's stuck. Well, it opened up at 1.5 at 7:39 p.m. and moved to 2.5. And at that point, it was heavily juiced to Siena. Then the juice came back. You could have got in at a 2. You could have taken that 2.5. This was at 9 this morning at +101. So I was a little late from that. At that point, I was looking at it. It was -2.5, -102. But I didn't move on it at that second. I moved on it a little bit later. It hadn't moved yet. But I saw it move to -107. I bet it at 365 at -110. This moved up to -115 then at 10:21 a.m. It's getting juiced and juiced. And then right before the show started, a 12-cent move back to Marist. So overall, let's call it a half-point move. They're showing a full point, but it's -101 if you want Siena at this -2.5 price. Let's get to the total here for this one. This total is a 130.5. It's -111 to the over. This opened up at 130.5. This was down to 129.5. Now we're back at 130.5. BFV Boxing First Vlog is on Marist money line. So is the Juice. Kripke doesn't like these games that we're capping. Kripke, I love these small schools and these bum fights, and not that this is a bum fight. Marist 16-5, 9-3 in the Metro Atlantic, but again, it's not for everybody. Kripke, I understand but we do have Daby Cab with the best bet on UCLA coming up. So if you can just roll up a bat.
Hey, there are only games on the board. What else are we gonna fucking do? I mean, come on.
Oh, I get it. I am going to play some horses tonight, I think, though. I need a little more action than I'm being offered today. But let's set up the cash flow in this one. Cash flow is appealing enough. 46% of the tickets on Siena, 56% of cash. I mean, it's a 50-50 proposition. 79% of tickets, 83% cash on the over here. Marist comes in off a second straight loss, 75-71 at home versus Iona on Saturday's 4.5-point favorites. Siena had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 61-59 loss at Ryder on Saturday as 2.5-point favorites. And these teams met back on January 31st. It was a 72-67 Marist victory. Marist was 5.5-point favorites at home in that one. No, I can't do it live, Mr. Belvedere. I got COVID, and I'm kind of coming out of it, but it's still like all my lungs and shit, and I'm just not where I want to be. So take it away, Spooner. Marist, Siena.
Well, Jimmy, I didn't get anywhere with this one, but we were talking about point guards from the childhood earlier, and Siena has Gary McNamara. I think this is a guy that's doing a tryout for a Syracuse job. Syracuse just hired a head coach in the offseason. He was considered for the job. Ultimately, he went to Siena, and I think he's done a decent job here in his first season. Both of these teams right now are missing their starting centers. Marist, you'll see they dropped their last 2 games. That's without their starting center. You might not see a huge amount of efficiency numbers from him, but he's really important to be out there on the court. They haven't had enough time to figure out how to play without him. Siena, on the other hand, has played all of their conference games without their starting center. And I actually have a note here I wrote down middle of February. They could be expecting Peter Carey back. He might be one of the best players on this team. There's really hard to get any information on any of these mid-major college basketball things. You can go to X, Instagram, literally follow the players. That's the best way. I would be on Siena here. Nothing. I think coming down the stretch, and the MAAC, he wants to get a little bit better record. That tournament's going to be wild. It's going to be really fun. Anybody saying that MAAC basketball is not great hasn't watched any of these games. If you ever see a number that's above 7.5, you can just blindly fade it because all these games come down to a possession or two. I think Siena can win this. Marist losing their center a couple games ago is really a huge thing for me. That continuity, the way you come down a floor, you have an identity as a team. And when you lose your identity or part of it, you don't know exactly what you're doing. And then you start making bad decisions with the basketball. And bad decisions with the basketball are how you lose 1-2 possession games. Siena's at home here. Marist has really overperformed this season. This is a coach in John Dunn I don't know if he's ever made an NCAA tournament. I don't believe he has. He's had a lot of losing seasons. I think this is a spot Gary McNamara can get a big win that he needs. I really do believe this is a tryout kind of season. I think Syracuse is watching him pretty closely. A lot of people would like to bring him in, and it'd be a lot easier to do that if he had a successful MAAC run down the stretch.
That makes me feel good. I like that. And the Skunt Blaster in the house says, Mayor says 80% of the money on the money line books keep making it more appealing. Siena money line for the Skunt Blaster. CMAC, take it away. Red Foxes against the Saints in Albany, New York.
Yeah, I think that's pretty big. And one of the biggest things you hit on, this team's just in Marist overperform. I mean, all year long. That's just a fact when you look at the numbers. And, even looking at their last game, they shoot 50% from the field. They went 10-28 from 3, 7-9. They only shot, 9 free throws, but 78%. And they lose by 4. That's not good at all. But I would be on Siena here. I just not only want to lay 2.5 points for them because I think this could be right down to a possession. And I'd rather have the points a little bit in this basketball game. We just talked about how they've overperformed, but those back-to-back losses haven't looked good. But by 3 and 4, I just think if the game's tight, I'd want the points in this game. So I'm off here. It should be good. I like Siena in the dog roll a little bit more. This would be big for them to win at home. They need it.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. It's going to be a fun spot. It's going to go down to the wire. Troy Torrance with me on Siena. I like hearing that. C-Mac, you're going to start out the next spot in the Metro Atlantic. Merrimack Warriors, 14-10, 11-2 in conference. The Manhattan Jaspers, 11-10, 6-6 in conference. We're at Draddy, Riverdale, New York. Take a look at the line history here for this spot. This totals at 137. This opened up at 137.5 at 7:41 p.m. Interestingly enough, this got up to 140 at 9:38 p.m. Since then, we've just seen it drop all the way down to 136.5. And then 13 minutes ago, we got our first buyback. So it's been dropping and dropping and dropping. We're back at 137. So we've had a half-point move towards the under. When we get to the point spread here in this spot, we have there we go. We have Merrimack -2.5 and -116. So it's basically a 3. They opened up -2 at -108. Opened up at 7:41 p.m. Took till 9:30 this morning to get to a 3. We're back at a 2.5, but let's call it 3/4 of a point. From a cash flow perspective, been great having all the cash flow information here on today's card. Refreshing. 43% of the tickets, 42% of the cash on the Merrimack Warriors, 71 and 64 on the over. Merrimack comes in off its third straight win, 69-51 at home over Canisius on Saturday's 13.5-point favorites. I mean, Canisius is just a weak outfit. Manhattan comes in off its third win in 4 games, 84-83 in overtime at home over St. Peter's on Saturday's 4.5-point favorites. These teams faced each other back on January 12th. It was a 69-62 Merrimack home victory. Merrimack closed as 7.5-point favorites in that one. We have the juice here on the Jaspers. I tried to get to the Jaspers. I'm still interested in them. I couldn't get there, though. Maybe I can. Let's hear C-Mac's breakdown. Take it away. Warriors, Jaspers in Riverdale.
For a guy, Man Bear Pig, I thought I said with CN, I'd rather have them in a dog. Did he maybe not hear that right? Even though they're favorites, right? I mean, didn't I say that?
You did it right.
Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure. Yeah, but they're favorites, of course, today. That's why I don't want them. I love that when I saw the 139.5, Jimmy, the under in this basketball game. Once I see Merrimack, I think they're just going to drag this game slow into the half court, into a rock fight. And this game's going to go under. It's tough to give out now here, 137, 136.5, even though I still don't think it gets there. And with that, I don't want this Merrimack team, though, on the road. I do not trust them at all. I think they're pretty average. And this is where I want Manhattan. I talk about all the time. I want them at home catching points right here, right now. This is just when they played. They played great kind of all year long. I think they had that game against Siena, January 3rd, that went to OT. Remember that game that they didn't cover? That was tough. Get your 3.5, but that was on the road. But I want to back them here at home. Plus 3. I think they win this game, but I'll take the 3 points. Here at home. Give me Manhattan.
Interesting. +3 -108 available offshore.
Perfect.
I'm interested. Let's hear what Spooner has to say about this spot. Merrimack, Manhattan.
Yeah, Jimmy. Merrimack's a great program. They're one of those D2 programs that came over from the top of the D2 ranks and have continued success into D1. They run kind of a gimmicky zone defense. And as always, to beat a zone, it really helps to have some length. It helps to have some shooters and the ability to offensive rebound. And if you look at Manhattan, this is a team that's one of the shortest teams in the country, 358th in average height. They're also one of the youngest teams in the country. But the caveat to that is this team has played every single game together on the floor this season without injuries. And that's something this time of the season that a lot of teams can't say. They already lost to Merrimack, so they saw that gimmicky zone. And the thing about gimmicks is they work well the first time, but once you get a chance to kind of look at how it worked up close, you can pick it apart in the film room. And a guy like Gallagher, who's been around basketball for a really long time, I trust his ability to take apart a gimmicky zone. I don't know. A bunch of short guys that can't rebound the basketball. I have a hard time saying they're going to beat a zone X's and O's wise when I'm looking at it. I don't like Manhattan as a basketball team. I think Merrimack is much better, but when you ignore these lines, I think if I were setting this line just off an X's and O's thing, I would go a -7 Merrimack, even though it's a road game in the MAAC, because they're that much better of a team. They show the ability on the floor to score and stop scoring that much more than Manhattan has in this year. So when you see that 3, it's for the reason. The books aren't making mistakes when they put those lines out there. I think a lot of people are going to see Merrimack's success this year, try to get on them. I think Manhattan's probably the play. It's not the play for me, though. X's and O's wise, I want to be able to trust the team before I see them on the court, because if I take Manhattan and I watch them brick a bunch of threes because they're the worst 3-point shooting team in this conference, and then not get any offensive rebounds because the zone's keeping them out of it, and Merrimack runs away from it, I'm going to just be really frustrated, because that's what I thought was going to happen.
Real quick though, Merrimack, I mean, not a great rebounding team. So, they rank towards the bottom. Just to put it out there, I'm just saying. So I think the matchup's all right here for a minute.
It's a great breakdown from both you fellas. Loved it. It's great. A lot of food for thought for us. CMAC on Manhattan +3. Shout out to our guy Gorky in the house. Gorky, one of those cappers, is always pumping us up with energy. Blessing our action with a $2 dono UCLA money line as well for Gorky. Right. And that's best bet here will be a 4-headed monster when Dabra Cadabra joins us for that one. Dabra Cadabra coming off sweeping the board with us yesterday. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board because it's my fourth of 4 bets that I made pre-show. Looks like I've got a couple additions here, but I'm on the Rider Bronx. It was not easy to get there, but I'm on the Rider Bronx +6 at -110. Saturated says people demand an update to CMC's music video. You made promises. Yeah, I'm. It's
not that big of a deal. It's not. You don't need to push it. Yeah,
it's in my thoughts, man. Hines Athletic Center, New Rochelle, New York, home of the Iona Gales. 8-5 in Metro Atlantic during their season around. Rider just 5-8. Like hearing this, Troy Torrance says database says Rider, but I wanted Iona. They cashed for me 4-0 this season. I am on those Bronx here, or as our friend Peter Song would say, Rider -4. We have this line history. Oh, I like seeing that a lot. Down to a 5.5. Okay, that's helpful because this line was all over the place. I wasn't exactly sure, what we were going to get. Because this went from 6.5 to 7. This was a 7 for 8.5 hours last night till 8 this morning when it moved to 6.5. And I didn't even get the 6.5. I got the flat 6 -110. I wish I'd have got the 6.5. This is upsetting. So that's the situation here. We now have a 5.5. So we had a full point move towards the Bronx on the road. And then on the total, we have the 139 -113 to the under. It's opened up at 138. So we have a 1-point move to the over. And cash flow wise, 41% of the tickets are on Rider and 34% of the cash. I kind of like that. 77 and 78 are on the over in this one. So, Spooner, we're going to start with you here. Rider comes in off snapping their 2-game losing streak in a 61-59 victory at home over Siena on Saturday's 2.5-point dogs. Iona comes in off their 3rd straight win, 75-71 at Marist on Saturday's 3.5-point favorites. And these teams met back on January 23rd, a 73-67 Iona victory at Rider. Iona closed as 2.5-point favorites in that one and got the job done, got the W. Now Rider coming for Rebenga. Spooner, take it away. Metro Atlantic, Bronx Gales.
Well, Jimmy, I don't have a play on this game. I believe Iona's the better team. I believe they're at home. I believe they have the better coach. If I'm making a checklist and doing pros and cons list of how I want to bet this game, I'm going to wind up Iona pretty quick, especially when you bring in the past matchups. And then it makes you kind of wonder, why is it sitting at a 6? And this Rider team's tough. They mentally, they don't fall out of basketball games. Sometimes when you fall behind a few possessions, you can let it just snowball away from you. And I think Baggett does a really good job of keeping his guys motivated. That first game, Rider didn't have much of a chance to win. I think they're in this game down the stretch. Riders have been messing with their lineup a little bit, while Iona, now that we're coming down the stretch in conference play, has really come down to 5 guys that they're trusting with most of their minutes. Tobin Anderson's a really good coach. I expect Iona to probably win this by a possession. I think Riders should cover this, but it's nothing I have enough confidence on myself to pull the trigger. So that's what I got in it.
I like it. CMAC, what do you have to say about this spot? Bronx, Gales, the Metro Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams the last month have been playing a lot better basketball than it was to start the year. Iona won 6-7. I thought it was another good spot on the weekend for them against Marist, that we hit on. 4-point dogs, everyone there on Marist, and they win. One thing with Ryder, when I look at this, I kind of lean under. I can't bet the total, though, because the defenses are so awful on both sides. But these offenses are horrible. They're in the 340s. Field goal percentage, both shoot 29% from three, just about Iona's 30%. So can they make shots? And we've seen Ryder, in these last 4 or 5 games when they go on the road. I mean, they're keeping these in the 60s, and they're tight. So I lean Ryder as well here. I need to look at it a little bit more, but I like it. I think they can at least stay within the number and keep this game tight.
All right. Well, I like all of that. So that's my 4 bets. I feel good about.
I think it's a little bit too far out. Like this was the 2.5, 3.5, but now with multiple possessions, I think Ryder. It's not like Iona does a ton of things great. Not a lot of these teams that we're talking about, don't do things great here, but that's why they could be in it.
I like it. I like it. I like everything about the breakdown there. Let's roll on. CMAC, you're starting off this one for 7 p.m. Eastern action. The Quinnipiac Bobcats 14-10, 10-3 in Metro Atlantic. And Sacred Heart Pioneers 11-12, 7-5 in Metro Atlantic. Fairfield, Connecticut. We heard about them sharing the town with the Stags of Fairfield. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Line history-wise, Quinnipiac Sacred Heart total 160. It's a big one. 160. It's minus 111 to the over. This opened up at 157 and it climbed, but it didn't really it went up to 150 and went back to 157. This climb up to 160 has all happened in the last 4 hours, 5 hours. So it's up to 160 now. That's the total. On the point spread here, we have Quinnipiac -4, minus 103. They opened up at -3. It was -3 up until 11 a.m. It moved to 3.5. And then 11:16 a.m. it moved to 4. It's a pretty brisk move. Then at 11:35, it moved to 4.5. That turned out to be the high water mark at this point. We're now back to a 4, and this 4 is juiced towards Sacred Heart. Cash flow wise, here we have another kind of 50-50 situation. 47% of the tickets and 55% of the cash on the Bobcats of Quinnipiac. 56% of tickets, 61% of cash is on the over. Quinnipiac comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 76-75 at home versus Niagara on Saturday as 11.5-point favorites. They've been playing very good basketball of late. Sacred Heart comes in off their 5th straight win, 77-71 at Fairfield on Saturday as 1.5-point favorites. We already heard from Spooner about the importance of that victory. Is this then maybe a bad spot for them? These teams met way back on December 8th. It was an 83-73 Quinnipiac home victory. The Bobcats closed as 5.5-point favorites. If that wasn't the situation, I'd be on the Bobcats here. Take it away for a CMAC, Bobcats Pioneers.
Yeah, I like that they won that game. And this is another team like Marist a little bit, just not as, playing a little bit above, I think, who they really are and the numbers, so far this year. And they dropped a couple. I love how Sacred Heart's been playing lately. One thing, this team's decent. They don't shoot a ton of threes, but they're pretty good from 3. They're a decent free throw shooting team. Not the best on defense, but they've been solid. And Quinnipiac, they have not, at least lately, gone on the road. They did beat down Mount St. Mary's. But other than that, these have been struggles. They haven't covered the number on the road in conference. I like Sacred Heart here. Give me the +4. Of course, I'm on these money line. Jimmy, this is one I think they went outright, but give me the 4 here.
We got you on the 4. It's widely available. Well, wide enough. So the 4 at -110 for CMAC. Spooner, take it away. Metro Atlantic action. William H. Pitt Center. Take it away.
Yeah, this Sacred Heart team is new to the MAAC. Along with Mary Mac, they both came over from the NEC last year. And what that does is it brings a new brand of basketball to the conference that Quinnipiac isn't familiar with. When you get a chance to play in a conference, you learn the coaches, their schemes, their tendencies year after year. Some coaches do things on a defensive end right now that they're going to be doing 20 years from now, and that rings true across the board. They haven't gotten the ability to properly scout Sacred Heart yet. We're most of the way through the conference season, so they can see how they've done against other teams. But everybody's well aware that Quinnipiac is one of the best teams in the conference, and Anthony Ladina is a really good coach. I like his chances here tonight. I think they could win this as a dog. It's definitely just a 1 or 2 possession game. The 3 points in your pocket probably feels pretty nice, but I didn't feel strongly enough to move on it. Quinnipiac is a really good team. Defensively, they can lock down, and sometimes that can be enough to just walk away in the second half. That's all I got.
Yeah, they got scores though. Tanner Thomas is really good. They got 3 or 4 others that are in double figures. And I love how they've been playing basketball lately. These are the teams that you kind of don't want to touch, Jimmy. And I love how they've been playing. The last 2-3 weeks that I probably wouldn't have bet them early on all year, but they're red hot. Come on, big game.
You got it. You're locked in. CMAC Sacred Heart +4 at -110. Well, we've talked the smaller conferences. Now we get to the Big Ten, and we bring on the big Dabra Cadabra for this breakdown. Daby Cab, how are you, man?
Unmuted. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, unmuted and ready to fucking rock.
Yeah,
Fresh
there we
off
go.
the
Good
board.
to roll.
Fresh
Morgan,
off board.
C-Mac, what up, boys?
What up?
Let's get to work, my friend. Excellent work yesterday. And shout out to the Skunt Blaster. Look at that. 1999 dono to bless our action and lead us into the future. Indiana money line at +115. Siena money line at -135 for ye old Skunt Blaster. Spectacular work. Skunt, we need you in San Antone, man. The Juice says Bruins. Troy Torrance says Indiana +2. This was a real tricky game to cap, and we got a monster group of cappers here to rock with us right now. So let's go. We only have 2 games after this one before we race here. Don Play in the house. Great to see you. Let's roll. UCLA Bruins 18-7, 9-5 in the Big Ten. At the Indiana Hoosiers 15-10, 6-8 in the Big Ten. We're in Bloomington, Indiana for this one. We have the UCLA Bruins -2. Now back to 1.5. Okay, so this moved back 7 minutes ago. So we're right back from whence. This is the opening line, -1.5, -108. No movement. Let's get to the total here in this one. On the total, we have a 138.5 at a pick'em. This opened up a 140.5, so we've dropped 2 points. And that 2-point move, it was a swift move here at 10:39 a.m. Let's get to the cash flow here. The cash flow for this one, 70% of the tickets on the spread and 73% of cash on the UCLA Bruins, no movement. 69% of the tickets, 73% of cash on the money line on the Bruins, no movement. 74 and 71 on the over, and we watch it dropping. So UCLA comes in off having their 7-game winning streak snapped in an 83-78 loss at Illinois on Tuesday as 6.5-point favorites. 6.5 dogs. I was on Illinois. Illinois got off to a huge lead. It looked promising, and UCLA clawed their way back. They showed heart and character and clawed their way back. Indiana snapped their 5-game losing streak on Tuesday. It was a huge 71-67 victory at Michigan State as 11.5-point dogs. And this is a lone meeting between these two teams. Kripke says UCLA doesn't travel well to the East Coast. I think they're going to get more comfortable with it. I thought that was an impressive performance at Illinois. And if Indiana hadn't have come off this monster victory, winning outright 11.5-point dogs, I would be on them. This one is difficult. I find this one very, very difficult here. So let's have our experts lead us in the right direction. Daby Cab, it's your best bet. Take us home, my man. Bruins, Hoosiers.
My only bet today, I tell you what, I'll be loaded up tomorrow. I don't think do I sound fine? Because I don't think my sound is coming through my mic right now.
It sounds good enough to me to rock.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Can you still hear me right now?
Say what?
Okay, okay, so it's not coming through my mic. I'll make sure I get that fixed next time. Sorry, guys. Hopefully this sounds good. All right. Look, this is a tough game, Jimmy. You said it, right? You've got UCLA coming off a loss, Indiana coming off a big win. And, that was UCLA's first loss in, 7 games or something like that. They were on a good stretch. They beat a lot of good teams. But I saw you just highlighted in the chat, somebody touched on it. In these travel spots where UCLA's having to go from West Coast to the East Coast, I want to say they're 0-4 and 0-4 ATS. I had the numbers in front of me. I've got to find it again. It might be 0-3. They just have not been very good this year in these situations going across country. And as much as I wanted to back UCLA in the first half right here, I just couldn't get there. I think it is a bounce back spot for them. But when you look at the matchups here, Indiana has a few big guys down low that I think UCLA is going to struggle with matching up just a little bit matchup wise. I think Indiana is going to have the edge, like I said, on the boards, also in the paint, and that's something in college basketball I want. So where am I going with my bet after all that? I'm taking a prop here, okay, and it's at plus 195. Which I think is just ridiculous value for this prop. I took Sky Clark over 1.5 threes. Now, he's only hit this 5 out of his last 9 games, but at plus 195, that's something I got to take a shot on. I realize Clark might only shoot 3 threes, but he might also shoot 8. And I'm going to say it again, at plus 195, I think there's just immense value on this bet. So Sky Clark over 1.5 threes plus 195.
You got it. Over 1.5 threes for Clark at plus 195 for Dabra Spooner. Thoughts on Bruins Hoosiers?
This is one I spent some time with. Initially, just looking at the card, you look at Indiana. If anybody knows the situation going on, Mike Woodson's probably at a job at the end of the season, and you kind of just want to fade a team that's not playing for the coach, kind of thing. And then the other side of this, you got UCLA's head coach, Mick Cronin, who just went on national TV, reamed his entire team out, said, "You guys suck, need to play harder." And I don't think they responded as well as he would have hoped. This is a spot for me where I'd have to be on Indiana. Mike Woodson can go in that locker room and say, "Hey, guys, it's not you that sucks. It's me. This is my 4th year here. I tried. I thought we were going to be better than this. I thought I could get you all together. Let's finish out the season well. We're not out of the Big Ten. We've won some games. I'll help do what I can to set you guys up for next year." I think he's a good coach. In the long run, Indiana's a really tough job to have. Whoever takes that job over next year is going to have their big shoes to fill. I don't think the Indiana job's really ever going to make anybody happy. You just had a coach there who is just on a Mount Rushmore of his own. It really is an Indiana spot, though. UCLA, all the players are on the opposite side of that. My coach is saying, "Hey, I suck." Their coach is saying the opposite. If I'm a player, I'd rather play for Woodson right now than Cronin. You're in Indiana. It's a cathedral in college basketball. It still means something. I expect them to get a win here. Why not against the West Coast team that doesn't even belong in the Big Ten in a lot of people's opinion? I don't know if UCLA's ever played in this building. If they have, it was a really long time ago. It'd be Indiana or pass for me, but I can't get behind that UCLA team. One note on Indiana is they ran a zone in that last game, and that's something they haven't done all year. So with Woodson in the corner, he might break out some things we haven't seen from him before, and that could be really a handy thing to have in your pocket when you have a coach that's, on the other hand, in Cronin, who really needs to put up or shut up right now, because a lot of people are sick of him as well. That's all I got. Hey, Jimmy, I got to bounce after this one, actually. Hope everyone has a great day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Spooner, you're the man. I'm going to pop your X handle in the chat. Great stuff from our guy, Morgan Spooner. We'll go over his best bets, man. Fighting the good fight. Our guy, Morgan Spooner. So Daby Cab on Sky Clark over 1.5 threes at plus 195. And this just in, the taint play of the day is Hoosiers money line.
Wow.
Indiana Hoosiers money line is sweet, sweet taint. Chris Warren, Sky Clark is on the Bruins. So that is the spot there. Do you want to jump in, Debbie?
You got Morgan Spooner, you got Taint, Matty Ice, you got Wine Time, you got Troy Torrance, probably more, but you got those 4 guys all on Indiana right here. So, I guess I'll be comfortable with my prop and staying off UCLA as a side. Because as much as I wanted to bet UCLA, I thought it capped towards Indiana also. And one thing I don't like doing, some people are different, is I don't like betting the other side of something I initially wanted if I cap it and I find out that's the side. I usually just end up staying off the game. And I think Indiana might be it. I think they got it, Jimmy. So, hey, but the better Indiana plays down low, the more the ball's going to have to be kicked out and on the perimeter, and the more chance we have to hit that plus 195. I'm going to say it again. That number is wild. I think it should be somewhere around like minus 110 or plus 110. So at plus 195, can't help it.
Well, stay hot, Daby Cab. Stay hot. Sky Clark over 1.5 threes at plus 195. We still have 2 games left to break down. Daby Cab, tell us what is the plan for the starting 5 tomorrow at 10:45 a.m.
Man, I just love it, guys. Saturday mornings, we get on there. We talk college basketball for about, 45 minutes to an hour. We talk NBA for about 45 minutes after the college basketball. And it's best bets, straight bet driven. You got 5 top cappers coming on there giving you guys nothing but best bets. We've had a hell of a cast that's already come through. And tomorrow it's going to be the same thing. You'll get Guns. You'll get our guy Stacks. Shout out to Stacks. You'll get Wine Time, Dutch Boy Fresh, myself. So we got a good group tomorrow. We're going to make some money, man. So everybody tune in. I want to see you guys in there. Let's make tomorrow special. Thank you, Jimmy. Everybody in the chat, man. The Juice, AOD, even you, Lynn Belvedere, you fucking troll. Even you, man. Thanks for being in here. Thanks to everybody. I love you guys. I love you, Jimmy. I'll see you soon, man.
Dabra Kadabra in the house. All right, we got 2 games left here. We also want to put best bets together for our guy Chang Kim. We heard from the Spoon Dog. His best bet was the middle spot here, St. Louis plus 2.5. So St. Louis plus 2.5 is the Spoon Dog best bet. So St. Louis will ask what CMAC's best bet is. And then I kind of want to go over my action one last time before I figure out my best bet here. But Spoon Dog, St. Louis plus 2.5, that'll be his. Let's roll in to our last 2 games here. And the Juice says, what travel spot UCLA didn't fly back to LA after the Illinois game? They beat in Bloomington. Yeah, no, that's true. I look, unless we're just going to sit here and go, look, Indiana has found themselves. They are a real good basketball team in the Big Ten. And if you believe that and believe that this is being, something that's been developing throughout the season, and that's why you're on the Hoosiers here, I get it completely. I just, after going in to Michigan State and winning outright as 11.5-point dogs, I'm just hesitant to back them back home right afterwards. That's the only reason why I'm not on them here. And I certainly am not going to be on UCLA with all the big dogs on the Hoosiers. So let's roll. 8 p.m. Eastern with the Wright State Raiders, 13-13, 7-8 in the horizon. At the Milwaukee Panthers, 16-9, 9-5 in the horizon. We're in Milwaukee, in UW Milwaukee Panther Arena. Let's get the line history in for this one. CMAC should be joining us here shortly, but we will handle this ourselves in the meantime. This total at 154.5 with a half-point move to 155. When we get to the point spread here for this one, We have Milwaukee -6 and -115. They opened up at 5.5 and they're now 6. That is a much higher number than I expected. Toby Lane says Panthers, best bet today. Take a look at the cash flow for this Panthers spot here. I'm surprised this is a 6. 70% of the tickets, 79% of the cash on the Milwaukee Panthers. So the public backing this home favorite line, moving in their direction. 91% tickets, 92% cash on the over. Action Jackson on Milltown as well. Jim Dewigger in the house. Great to see you, Jim. Took the over in this one. Wright State comes in off their second win in 3 games. An easy 91-73 victory at home over IU Indianapolis on Saturday's 9.5-point favorites. Milwaukee comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 77-60 at Cleveland State on Saturday's 1.5-point dogs. The problem for me and why I can't I like that Milwaukee just lost at Cleveland State, a very good team in this conference. I like that. I like them bouncing back at home, but they went to Wright State and destroyed them. 95-79 back on January 22nd. They were just 2.5-point dogs. Wright State, I like the favorite team after beating up on a cupcake like IUPUI. But they know exactly what Milwaukee did to them. And that's what's kept me off at this point. Take it away, CMAC. Wright State Raiders, Milwaukee Panthers.
Yeah, I think if Wright State's in this game, and you talked about that last game while they were so great, is if they shoot it well. I mean, when this team is hot, they play well. And when they're off, on the road, they lose, like they did to IPFW, kind of the game before that, on the road. I think that really comes down to it tonight. I like Milwaukee to bounce back at home. It's just, I got to really love these games. I talk about all the time, Jimmy, at 6.5 to back them at home, like have some real confidence in this team. They shoot 67% from the free throw line. I don't love that. I have to go through all those. Like, there are certain spots. I was on Montana -4 at home last night. I thought it was a great spot. They had lost to Idaho State. They've been so dominant at home, and I can trust them. I like Milwaukee, but 6.5. I don't know. They're a very good rebounding team, this Milwaukee. I mean, top 5 in the country. Can they wear down Wright State? But I really just think it comes down to their shots here with Wright State a little bit. If they're hitting their jump shots, they're deep 2s and 3s. I think they're around. If not, I think they could lose by 10 to 15 here.
Yeah,
There's no injuries here on the. No, okay.
Nothing that jumped out that for me, but I gotta stay off the game. I can understand why you guys are on Milwaukee, and I can't get past them annihilating Wright State on January 22nd. It's not like Wright State doesn't know about what they're about to get involved in and want to pay back.
Of course, and you got to think of that. A team catching points got their ass whipped at home. They'll remember that a little bit. Yeah, I try to use that a little bit for these road teams. I mean, can Wright State do it? I think it really just comes down to them hitting shots big tonight. Yeah, because when they're hot, they're hot. It's just, and when they're cold, they're cold.
No, I'm right with you. Spooner, you're the man. You were great. Thank you for rocking with us. The Juice got the 5.5, which is a great spot. But I'm ready to move past this one and on to our last game here on the show. This is a really important game. Now, let's not force it here, but come 10 p.m. tonight, you're going to be looking around going, oh God, do I have action on this last game? This game pops off 2 hours after. This is the only game in this time frame. Now I have the opportunity to bet horses to scratch the itch, but this is a game I'd love to have action on. 10 p.m. Eastern, Mountain West, where DJ Big Boss does it best. God, if you don't have as DJ Big Boss in your life, he brings so much joy to my life. I can't wait to rock with him in San Antone. Let's go. We're in San Jose, California, Provident Credit Union Event Center. My mom's alma mater, San Jose State. Nevada comes in off its third straight win, 94-69 at home over Fresno State on Monday. It's 15.5-point favorites. San Jose comes in off its second straight loss, 69-66 at home versus San Diego State on Tuesday's 9.5-point dogs. San Jose State has been playing better at home. I think they can be trusted at home. These teams met back in January 18th. It was a 75-64 Nevada victory. Nevada was 13.5-point favorites in that one. Right now, though, this line is just been moving towards Nevada at a rate that I'm afraid of getting in the way of. This opened up at -6 and it moved to -7 at 7:41 a.m. Then it moved to 5.5. Unbeknownst to me, I saw this was a 6.5 this was a 6.5, so I thought it still moved a half point towards Nevada. If I had seen this move to 5.5, I would have bet San Jose State. And I would be sitting here now looking at a 7.5, hating myself. And I would have just started sweating. I always get like flop sweats when I tell you guys I'm on a 5.5 and it's now 7.5. So we have a real legit move here towards the Wolfpack. When we get to the cash flow here for this one, 47% of the tickets, 43% of cash on San Jose State. Nevada's not that public. This is a real legit move towards a favorite. 53% tickets, 57% cash on Nevada, 79 and 82 on the over. Taking a look at the cash. Oh, we just did the cash flow. So let's roll. Do we have action here? CMAC, do you have a lean here? Rick J says Nevada has owned this matchup. Nevada being great the last 3 games. The Juice says Alfred finally blew out a team last game. Not sure if he can do it again against a scrappy Spartans team who's good against the spread. Man Bear Pig says, look at Timberwolves yesterday. Line moved against them all day, but they smacked up OKC at home. Looking back at that one, Man Bear Pig, at some point, wasn't the Thunder going to just kind of let go at some point? And what better time to let go than right before the All-Star break? When I look back, I was like, of course, that was the spot that finally where they were like, okay, fuck, you guys can have a victory against us. But you're right, Man Bear Pig. I think when you have the All-Star break coming, there's so many different angles here. This is a mid-season situation here for Nevada, San Jose State. CMAC, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, just the 2 top scorers here, questionable. This line movement, I don't know if they're going to play here, Jimmy. And we got the last game, we got the step up from those guys, Yap and Davis. I mean, they had 19 and 21. And look at that game. San Diego State was awful that first half. They go up by whatever it was, 16, and then they get destroyed in the second half. Still cover. They lose by 3. Can that happen again with their top 2 guys out here with McLennan? And there's all these question marks. I don't know if they go. I've been on them a ton. And look, they shot the ball a ton better. All they need to be was a little bit better last Friday. Jimmy, they were awful. They couldn't hit a shot against Boise. What were they here? 2 for 18. I mean, they just scored 8 more points. We're good. That's what I thought they'd get in the mid-60s. They couldn't do that. And they come back home shorthanded and play just an unbelievable first half. Nevada's starting to play better basketball. How much do you take from these last 3 games? UNLV, just not very good. The Air Force really down this year. UNLV just beat them by 28. And then they beat down Fresno. But, hey, beat who's in front of you. I think it's Nevada, but I'm not going to lay these points. Up to 8 now? I mean, no way. San Jose State's been too gritty on home. I've been on them a ton. They're 18-5. It's the number this year, Jimmy. I mean, I think that's the best. I forget who's the other one. I think that's the best team this year. ATS has been San Jose State. So it's just a wait for me with these guys if they're going to be in and out. And can Yap and Davis have another big night scoring here at home?
I mean, it's such a. I mean, it's so explainable as you just broke it down. What went down? They stepped up offensively, defensively. They were up 17 at the half. 37-20, and then they're exhausted. They're just done.
Just get their ass kicked.
They get outscored by 20. They lose. This move back, I mean, it's almost, I mean, they come back home after losing by 27, and they step up. It's the second game where we won't see that happening.
Yeah, can that happen? Like, yeah, that kid's from Vegas. Like he's had a few big games, but now you're asking him to step up. Yeah, big time. Where he scores 11 during the year. Can he drop 20 again in a game? I think he can, but yeah, second game here after the big step up first half, and then just worn down. I'm watching that, man. To watch these halves, it's just crazy. San Diego State could have hit a shot that first half. It was just crazy. And then they scored, 50 or something? I forget what it was in the second. 45. And San Jose State starts to get cold.
Is there there's got to, like, for me, Nevada, I mean, the UNLV game is great, but the last two, you're beating up on the worst teams in the conference for Nevada. Now you're against this scrappy San Jose State team. Do you think that, because even if one of those stars comes back, I still kind of like Nevada here.
Yeah, you still like Nevada?
I think so. I do, because the star player coming back. I mean, maybe we don't like it quite as much, but now I'm starting to see this clearly, that I can look past the January 18th 11-point win for Nevada at home. Nevada is stepping up right now, and I mean, they've got to win out almost in conference play, to get a okay seed, so they don't need to play one of the bad. I mean, if you do not want to play New Mexico or Utah State in the quarters of the conference tournament, or your season's over.
Yeah, well, they've covered every game. They're only 6-6 except one. December 31st, they lost by 22 to Colorado State. Is that what we're going to maybe a similar type game here, Jimmy? Because they've just been money, whether they've won the game or they've been just in it all year long at home. Whether it's like Boise, all these games, San Diego, Wyoming, they win. Air Force, all these games, they've been really, really good at home. Utah State, they got within the number there. They were 9.5-point dogs.
You're right. It's moved to 7.5. Okay. So at this point, it's just, you feel like it's too many points?
I don't know what we get. Do we get another step up where they've been so good at home? Nevada's they beat up on them so much kind of over the years. They're starting to play better. Do you trust that with Nevada? I don't know. Can they've been turning these teams over, but they're not good. Air Force, Fresno, like the numbers have been great maybe the last few days, but how much do you take from that? The defense and the turnovers Nevada's been getting.
So I guess what we're saying is that we want San Jose State to show a ton of heart once again and be up 6 at halftime, and then move live on Nevada and sit back and get paid.
I just don't know if that happens. Yeah.
No, I don't know if it happens either.
Yeah.
I would like. I think I want Nevada in my pocket here. I mean,
full game
situation that we're so used to here, where the team steps up enormously. Do you think there's a chance one of those stars are back for the Spartans?
I haven't heard anything. And the line moving makes it like they're not going to be in.
It does, yeah.
And this Nevada team, they have not been good on the road. I mean, they just beat Air Force and cover that. But, they didn't cover at Fresno. New Mexico game, they played tough. That's what kind of, they were a bad losing streak there. Jimmy, remember the beginning of January into December? A tough stretch where they were losing, but tight games. tough
yeah, I mean, if you look at their road games, They started out pretty well. I mean, that was a tough one against Loyola, losing by 4. Then they lose by 1 to New Mexico in overtime. Since then, they've been terrible on the road. And we only talk about 5 opportunities as well. Okay, well, this is going to require some more thought and some more time. Mr. Belvedere moving on Nevada. Chris Warren moved live on Nevada. Okay, this one's going to require more thought. We did get a best bet from BJ too. It's Indiana plus 2.5. Did you want to add to the breakdown there of UCLA Indiana, CMAC?
I don't have anything in that game. I have it bet. I think it's kind of a coin flip type game. I could see UCLA going there and winning. You know, they backdoored the last game against Illinois, and how much they need to get back to that team that's so good defensively, and they're healthy. That's why they've been playing real good basketball. And the whole thing with Indiana, with the coach fired, he's hanging around. They get the big win. I don't love that. They are at home. It's just tough for me. I had nothing there. I kind of want to take UCLA, but I don't even want to back them to win the game.
Yeah, I found it very difficult as well.
Me too. It's just.
Well, we did say to Chang Kim that we would give best bets out. We have St. Louis for Spooner. Spooner in the chat right now. So at St. Louis, I believe you said was your play of the day. Make sure that that's the case here. Let's get your best bet here for the card for a little Chang Kim 3-team parlay.
Well, if you can still get the 4, take Fairfield. I think there's still a few out there. Take that 4 with Fairfield.
All right, so we have St. Louis for Spooner.
I love that under Merrimack Manhattan. I still like it here. I can't, it's 136.5. It's a 3-point. But I still think that game goes under. Manhattan wins.
And I guess that's and for me it's Brown. So St. Louis plus 2.5, Fairfield plus 4, Brown. I got 4.5. Anything over 4, I think that's a nice little 3-team parlay here from the boys. Let's review all action here. Justin McKelvey stacks plays of the day. Brown plus 5, Harvard plus 6.5. Money Moves is on Cornell, Northern Kentucky, and UCLA 3-team money line parlay. Plus 222. Bet the skies on the over 157 in the Quinnipiac game. We're going to roll through here. Spooner's on Dartmouth minus 1.5. Columbia is becoming more and more appealing for me. I don't know if I got to figure out if I have the conviction to go up against the Spoon Dog in that one. I'm not sure if I do at this point, but I'm very interested in Columbia. Bet the skies on Niagara minus 1.5, but Spooner's on Mount St. Mary's plus 2.5, and DC Cappers on Mount St. Mary's plus 2. Ron Crawford's NCAA play of the day, St. Louis plus 2.5. Spooner's on St. Louis plus 2.5. Now the Respect play of the day, Chicago Loyola first half minus 1.5. I am interested in joining the boys on St. Louis. Then I'm on Pennsylvania first half plus 10, and so is CMAC. I mean, we can't get that number here on the show, so he didn't give it out his official pick, but no, it's in his pocket. CMAC, what do you think of Pennsylvania team total over? It's a look that Nutflush was talking about that sounded very appealing when I heard of it. I'm going to keep going through, or do you want to look up a couple numbers before you?
No, I mean, they're going to have to get that, I think, team total to cover the number. I kind of think it correlates. If they don't, they don't cover, so I think
I don't mind.
Goes hand in hand a little bit.
I don't mind having a little extra cake on that game. I don't have a ton invested in today's card. So then I'm on Brown plus 4.5. A coin gave us a Green Bay team total under 67.5. Ohio, Kent State, we stayed off. Fairfield plus 4 for CMAX. Siena minus 2.5 for myself. CMAX also on Manhattan plus 3 at minus 108. I'm on Ryder plus 6 at minus 110. CMAX on Sacred Heart plus 4 at minus 110. The Skunt Bag play of the day is Indiana money line at plus 115. He's also on Siena money line at minus 135. Daby Cab gave us Sky Clark over 1.5 threes at plus 195. And PJ's best bets Indiana plus 2.5. CMAC, excellent work, my man. Everybody out there, please support the Hitting the Books YouTube channel starring Conor Mac and Ian Cameron. CMAC, thank you for rocking with us, man. Please support CMAC on X as well. I'll pop his X handle here in the chat. CMAC, it was a fun Friday. We got to cap every game on the board. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Oh yeah, you gotta love these Fridays and these small schools. They're always a ton of fun. And yeah, let's just win. I had a really great day yesterday. Let's keep it rolling. And shout out to the chat. I got Nuke Worker, Rick J, and AOD. Always, the guy's always so positive. I appreciate it. My dude up in the chat. Troy, Chris Warren, Coin, everyone in here. Mr. Belvedere, the Juice, everyone in here. I appreciate it. And like I say, best goddamn chat in the goddamn game. Someone told me the other day, someone was putting that in another chat. Copy my shit. This is the best goddamn chat in the goddamn game. Right here at Post Sports Radio. So, stealing my shit. But that's it, baby. It's with
There
you.
he is, our guy, Conor Mac Picks, coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's bring on our co-host, producer, backbone of Pub Sports Radio, man who got snipped at 7 years old, our friend Jose Bouquet to the show. Jose, how are you?
Christ. I didn't know we were getting right into it. Jesus. I thought we exchanged pleasantries first. He's just talking about my foreskin as soon as I get on.
It's great to see you, buddy. How are you? How is
All
this
right.
the aforementioned skin? You're good?
It's gone.
Yeah.
Forgotten. But I have
Yeah.
I slept with a crick in my neck, so I can't even turn this way. It's great. It's great. But the Red Sox sign Alex Bregman. That's all that matters.
For a lot of money.
Good. I wanted to give him more. If I could,
An
I would
alarming-
give him more.
An alarming amount of money. Yeah.
I would give him more.
Yeah, but it's worth it. 16 home runs and a 276 batting average. You get 62 RBIs out of him and some solid play at third base. So
30 home runs. We'll see.
oh, that's not happening, buddy.
We'll
He's
see.
never hitting 30 home runs again in his life. In a
We'll
season.
see. We'll see. Highest OPS ever in Fenway Park. Minimum 95 plate appearances.
Yes, yeah, but he's
Ever.
aged. He's weathered. He's weathered. He doesn't keep himself in pristine shape like Kirby Puckett, man. This
I
guy,
disagree. Both men are in great shape. And Tony Gwynn was also in great shape, as well as Bartolo. Wow, Morgan, you've come on, Morgan. Come on, Morgan.
Morgan knows his street speak, man.
I mean, that's true, but you got to learn these streets. We're talking about, foreskin. You dig? Come on.
Let's race. I see green grass, which means we're moving away from camels today, are we, Jose?
Well, you said you were racing. You wanted to race, bet on some horses today, so I thought I'd let you get an early start.
I respect that. Before we race, let's just give a huge thank you to all of you guys who are supporting us here as gold members. It means so much to us. Thank you so much for that. How many gold members do we have racing here for $50?
82 gold members.
82.
So shout out to all you guys.
Means a ton.
YouTube is actually fucking up with the gold members scroll bar, so it's an extreme pain in the ass to find you guys. So I appreciate all the 82 that stick in here. And Aubrey Travis is right. Now this is the real shit right here. This is the real shit, Aubrey. You're right about that.
And we'll be racing. We'll be racing in San
I
Antonio.
don't believe you. I'm not getting my hopes up this year. I got my hopes up last year. You dashed those. I've learned.
I was really in the thick of the soup last year. I've been telling myself it won't be quite as extreme.
And I don't believe that either. I don't believe it. I need to see it. But we'll see. Speaking of not believing it, you have to see to believe these horses go.
Wow.
And there goes K-Wolf flying. Flying to the lead there. Picks from Dave down there. Look at Nasty Nate in the mix early here. We've got the tank play today. Matty Ice up there as well. Stacking Kent Cream, Jim Dewiger, Jarek White. All in the mix here. Oh no, there goes Nasty Nate falling back. See you later, Nate. And there goes a young Jose Bouquet getting in the mix, Jimmy.
And here comes myself as well, making a move from the rear of the field. And there's Conor Mac Picks, the white horse, flying up to the front row, but moving back as well. Oh, we got Johnny Guns up front. Who has late pace? That is the question. And is it the truth teller? Is it the truth teller who has the late pace? The truth teller moving forward. Kent Davies up front. Justin McKelvey. Justin McKelvey's trying to find the wide, but he can't get there. We are getting a sweaty butcher who's going to beat Truth Teller. And it's Truth Teller. His first victory. The Truth Teller.
Wow.
His first victory.
Whew.
That's Jimmy wasn't for that make believe shit. I wasn't, but I realized that I get a little caught up in my own financial investments, and I stopped thinking about the fun of the group. And I think I'll try to be more compassionate to the group here. Sweaty Butcher, God, that was close. I mean, I'm sure he wants a photo of that. Also, Nate Dogg there, fourth. Now, not Nasty Nate.
No.
Nasty Nate continues his phenomenal streak. I mean, we're talking... how many races has it been for Nasty Nate? It's something special that he's putting together.
Yeah, at this point, Nate, you must not want to win at all. I mean,
no, he loves the history there. 47th. He loves the history of the losses piling up. I mean, I did not want the Cubs to ever win a World Series because it was fun. There was something fun about it, you know. And then the Red Sox, I didn't want them to ever win a World Series, you know. There was something very enjoyable for all of us to watch, you know, year 85, year 90. You know, it was fun. But now we're back on another streak for Red Sox, so we're counting the years.
wow,
right?
wow, good Lord.
What? I cannot believe how much you had to overpay Bregman.
It's great.
Hilarious.
It's perfect. I love it.
$40 million.
It's great. It's perfect.
He took you guys to the fucking cleaners, man.
Good. That's fine. As long as he's hitting balls. He plays
162.
162.
Average 16 home runs, 14 home runs, 65 RBIs.
Wow.
He'll play 98 games for you guys.
You keep dreaming. You keep dreaming. You should be happy about this. Bregman signing means that Vladdy's probably not coming home. You know, probably not coming to Boston.
They still say that you guys are trying to set up.
It would be a shame. It would be a shame. We'll claim all of the Dominican Republic. The Dodgers can have Japan. We'll take all the DR.
Yeah. Oh God. I want the best for Vlad. He's put in his time up here, and he's done it with a smile. We like him. We're big Guerrero family fans up here in the north.
Sure, but we can't say the same about Bo.
No. Well, I don't know. Bo, it's unclear. Like I never heard it out of Bo's mouth. We just heard those fucking reporters talking about it. I never heard Bo say, "Look, I'd like to get out of Canada. I'd like to get out of Toronto." He's never said that.
No. But his general demeanor says, "I hate this place."
No, it doesn't, man. Don't put that shit.
He walks around moping with this, frowning, just like.
That's Dante beats the shit out of him. Still, Bo's a grown man, still getting his ass kicked by Dante. That Dante's he's a scary dude, man.
Yeah, that's what steroids will do to someone, you know.
Yeah. Rem Mo says, "Can we ask this bra salesman how he feels about his France Max bet?" They're not favorites anymore.
Trust me, Rem. I've been keeping track of it. I'm not pleased with it at all. It all comes down to Ireland versus France. That's what it matters the most, Rem. I'm guessing Ireland is the favorite. I have not looked at the odds, Rem. So if you could break that news to me and see my reaction, that'd be lovely.
We have Miss Baseball giving us another look on it. She says, in a few years, Red Sox fans will hate Bregman as much as Jays fans are hating Springer right now.
You guys gave him like 6 years. We gave him 3.
$40 million a year?
Who cares? Who cares?
It's nonsense, man.
It's going to be great. He's going to teach young Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. No, he's going to be a great third base coach. It's going to be a hell of a third base coach. Expensive one.
No. You guys, I can't wait. The Red Sox are going to AL East this year. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, man. You guys got taken to the goddamn cleaners, man.
I'm good. That leads to the playoffs.
Thank you guys for rocking with us here. This is the shortest show we ever had.
No, we've had much shorter, but this is the shortest show in the last year and a half. Yes.
Okay, shortest show in the last year and a half. Go get that cash. A couple things to remember. Kong's clip smash play today is Jose Delgado and Ismael Bonfim at -126.
I thought Kong's bet on me for something, and for a second there, I was like, "What the fuck did I? What did I do, Kong?"
No, he's not wagered anymore. Now he may in San Antonio because there are going to be feats of athleticism that will be.
Sure, I'll beat most people in a foot race. Troy, I'm looking at you.
We have some interesting news. We are bringing in a basketball hoop. Now,
I don't believe that.
The issue is, though, we are going. The parking lot is not in great shape, and there will have to be some papers signed so we don't get sued.
Yeah, no, I hate to say it, the median age of Bubba attendance is pretty high. So an Achilles, an ACL, something like that.
You're gonna have to sign that you're not. There's also, that it's not the smoothest parking lot, but we are bringing in a basketball hoop for 3-point contests for Jose Troy 1-on-1, for Jose Daby Cab 1-on-1, which we all want to bet on.
How many checks have I signed here?
We all want to bet on those.
Yeah, well, just remember, I'll beat most people at Palooza in a foot race as well.
We also will race. So
They call me Justin Gatlin Bouquet.
I've never heard anyone call you that. Never heard anyone.
Yeah, you're not around these streets enough,
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm talking about Nuke as well. I'll fucking dust Nuke in a race. I'm talking about you, Nuke. I'm calling you out specifically.
Netflix is over under ankles rolled 6-9. We already saw you took out Daby Cab when you had an ankle rolled, so he's got something for you.
I mean, yeah, I didn't even know it would affect his shooting so much, but I'll roll those dice again. I'll take myself again.
That is our show for today. I don't have too much action to add, but I've got a few here. I expect to add Columbia, St. Louis, and the team total over for Pennsylvania is what I expect to add right now. Then I still have some interest in Nevada, kind of curious to see where that line ends. Maybe it's just a live betting spot, which is, again, very advantageous for our bankroll. Just doesn't show up on our records, which is fine. Thank you guys so much. AOD, Res Mob, Rick J, the Nuke Worker. What a star the Nuke Worker is. Isn't he? He's one of the stars at Pubapalooza. Is getting a chance to sit and have a beer with the Nuke Worker. He's just money in the bank. Nut Flush Allen, whom we hope can get there, but we know he's got very important family stuff that he's dealing with right now. But good God, would that put a smile on all our faces? Nasty Nate, Rem Most, Crystal Craig, love to have you come down to San Antonio, Crystal Craig. It's the meeting of minds before baseball season, and I know you miss baseball.
Yeah, it's the weekend before opening day, I believe.
Yeah, it's always daunting going home and knowing that what's awaiting. But
that's why I'm starting to prepare for baseball now. I'm starting to write down stuff now because I remember last year you were like, "Oh, you ready for baseball?" I was like, "Haven't looked at a single team yet."
Which was the opposite of 2 years ago when you were like ready to go. But what you did in the offseason last year, going over what was working, what wasn't working, and then tightening that. That's this year for me. I'm going to cut the first 5 totals out.
I wish you luck.
I think such an appealing bet. I just have to do it. I mean, I'll go deeper into my stats, but that is the plan at this point. Aubrey Travis, AOD, Justin McKelvey. Thank you guys for rocking. Nate says that Jimmy wasn't for that make-believe shit. And, I've never had water in my hand ever, too. Nate respects that.
The secret is just to put a lime in your water now. And now Nate's going to just indiscriminately just knock out, vodkas or whatever the fuck. So it'll be very interesting to see.
He knows, man. He knows.
And he'll come up and smell it.
He fucking knows, man. He knows. Thank you guys. Barry Smith is wondering how your mom's doing after the back surgery.
It's nice to see Barry, by the way. Shout out to you, Barry. You can we'll be soon back to be on the show daily, and Barry asking me where for his money. So shout out to you, Barry. But she's doing fine. She went back home, or I guess got back home this week. And I have to go sleep over there because my dad works at night, and whenever my mother has to do whatever, I have to go run and do whatever to help her out. But yeah, it's a great time. Can't complain.
What does your dad do?
He is a bus stop guard. He just shoos homeless people away from bus stops.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. He just purchased a gun, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what a horrible decision this is. What a horrible decision this was, getting this man a fucking gun. But he's a former military guy, so whatever. But horrible decision nonetheless.
Oh, I hope we get to hang out with him. And does your mom have another tit cake maybe in store for us?
No,
that tit cake was.
I can't confirm. No.
Okay.
No. Unfortunately, she'll be laid up for 6 months. Could you imagine just being 6 months, just fucking bedridden, can't do shit, can't drive? That would be horrible. 6 months?
That sounds pretty nice to me. I'm indoorsy. I'm an indoorsy type.
That makes sense. You would just sit there and just bet on the horses and just, yeah, I get it.
Jerk and bet and jerk, choke, bet, jerk, choke, bet, jerk, bet, choke.
Every once in a while, a jerk.
Choke, bet. Thank you guys so much. Lex Steele, Lucky, Power. Thank you guys so much. Leroy, Flood. Thank you guys. Chris Warren. Thank you guys, man. Go get that cash. Let's go get that cash. Morgan Spooner. That's the first time I've had to click on, because that was a chat that we couldn't see. That's Morgan's first comment that we had to click on. Good luck, everyone, except on that, Jimmy. I hope you eat shit on Columbia.
Well, unfortunately for you, Morgan, I'm also on Columbia as well. So,
Jesus,
we'll all be eating shit on Columbia, I guess.
Morgan, that was real. That wasn't like hey, don't wish you luck on that one. That was like, fuck you.
I hope your kids don't have anything to eat tonight, kind of thing.
Eat shit.
I hope we see Morgan at Public Palooza as well. Should I see you, Morgan?
Nuke, I did not call Jose Miss Baseball. I did not. That's Crystal Craig is Miss Baseball. There. Crystal Craig's Miss Baseball. I know. I love you too, Spooner. It's funny. It's fun. It's the first comment that I've had to click on to allow people to see. Spooner usually very kind comments here, but
mild mannered.
Just slipped in a little eat shit there.
And YouTube said, "Wait, what?"
All right, that's our show today. Great to have you here. Closing up, Jose. Can you take us home, my friend?
Yes, and shout out to you, Mel. If you haven't already, go bet that Finland 0 points, because tonight's a big matchup for that as well. So shout out to you guys, and I wish you luck for tomorrow. I very much hope Canada can beat the U.S. when it matters, at the very least.
Well, I'm on America tomorrow.
Yeah, so when it matters. Right now, it doesn't matter.
No, you gotta go win in enemy territory, man. So it's in Boston on Thursday next week. That's the game.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of contact dances are happening at the Four Nations. So shout out to Montreal.
I don't know if you can't do that anymore, right? Like there's too many phones and too many people out. I mean, you'd have to set it all up in advance, kick everybody out, privatize the club. Still, that would get out.
Well,
it's tough for these NHLers to get contact dances. Now, if you are anonymous, like say myself, you get all the contact dances you want.
That's the hope. That is the hope.
Nobody's got their phone out when
Well, yeah, no. Everyone respected your privacy as well at the poker tournament when you were getting massaged. It was very nice.
Those were beautiful women.
Yeah, they were, and they did magical things with their hands and your earlobes.
Yeah, they did. Let's not talk about it.
The lobes. All right, everyone. Let's win some money today. Columbia, let's take it home. And Morgan Spooner, you can eat shit. Leche. Los bookmakers.
Real good.